What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Awakening World. Happy December to you all. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and this is the Awakening World on Saturday night, December 6th. And it's a special evening because we're really excited about a brand new partnership that we're starting. We love collaborating with Soul Search, Unity Earth, the Evolutionary Leaders, and we've also, over the years, been collaborating with Portal to Ascension. And we're now kind of making our partnership an even deeper one because we're going to be once a month, every first Saturday, at least for the next 3 months, we're going to be doing collaboration with Neil Gaur, the creative genius behind Portal to Ascension. Neil is with us, coming to us all the way from Colombia. So, hola, mi amigo.
Hola, hola. So good to be here with you, Scott. Thank you for having me, brother. I think it's been over a year since I've been on here, so I'm excited
It's
to be
been a
back
while
with you.
because you used to always
Yeah,
come on, going all the way back to the Saturday Night
right?
Alive, Alive days. So,
Exactly.
in a moment, we'll go to Portal and kind of tool around, but tell people just a little bit about the history. When did you start it? How? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, the actual Port Ascension name came in 2008, but the backstory is raised Hindu, kind of never really believed in any god, even though I was raised Hindu. I always felt that there was something missing in the world, and I started seeing similarities when I turned 18 in 2000 between Hinduism and Christianity. That was the beginning that led me down the path. I saw that there were similarities between Krishna and Yeshua. But I was told my whole life that both of these religions, they both came out separately from each other and they had nothing in common. And so why was I seeing these commonalities? So if there was like one thing that was really the beginning of it all was a question, what is the root of all religion, right? That's what I wanted to know. So as I started looking for the root, I would be in Panera Bread back in 2001 in Irvine, California, after college, going through the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Bible, the Old Testament, and I would find similarities. So this led me to the Sumerian scriptures. That was the beginning of it all. So fast forward about 2001 to 2006, deep down the rabbit hole, Sumerian scriptures took me to quantum physics, took me to ancient aliens, and the rabbit hole continues from there. In 2006, I decided to create a Facebook group called 2012 Consciousness, Mind, Evolution, and Presence. That was the name, big name. And because, I thought 2012, December 21st, we're going to ascend. That was literally like, I literally thought that there would be maybe a sign in the sky saying game over, we're going to go into the next virtual reality game. And so I created this group just so that people can engage and speak about 2012 and consciousness in general. And from this, I got a huge Facebook community and I started learning so much more. And people all over the world were joining. It was one of the, I guess, one of the original right during that time big consciousness groups on Facebook. And so I started creating chapters, California chapter, New York chapter, UK chapter, I had a Portland chapter, Seattle chapter, and it continued growing until 2008. 2008, I was working as a financial analyst, well, assistant to a financial analyst, let me just say. And the stock market crashed. And since the market crashed, I made a trade that did not do well because the market crashed like 2 days after, or a day, right on the same day I made the trade. I got fired from my job. And I was like, what am I gonna do? And that within a 1 week later, I had a dream, and the dream said, change your name to Portal to Ascension. And so I sent, you had to send like a notice to Facebook to change the name. So I changed the name to Portal to Ascension, and that's when it was born. So I taught myself how to web design, and I created the first Portal to Ascension website. So it was a long journey of just going down this rabbit hole and also being in a lot of fear. 2005, 6, 7. Oh man, I was a hardcore conspiracy theorist, super in fear. I'm not going to go into all the beliefs I had back then, but depopulation agenda and everything else included. And then in 2008, it was like a milestone, a spiritual awakening. It's also the first year I performed poetry, which I'll do tonight. The first year I did spoken word. And in the open mic in Costa Mesa, California, I remember it so well. I was sitting in the back, super depressed, and I'd been into this world for like 7, 8 years, but I really thought we were screwed. I thought like they control us, everything's a lie, that kind of reality. And in well, something happened. Well, somebody was on stage singing a song that inspired me to have a reflection where I stopped feeling that things were happening to us and started thinking that things are happening for us. I shifted my belief to thinking that those that are in power, call them the Illuminati, secret societies, and doing all these things are evil, to being almost like necessary evils, but more like advanced souls coming down to give us the experience of darkness so that we can figure out and understand what the light is in a world of amnesia. That was my revelation in 2008. The same month I created Portal Ascension, the name. My first event was called Hypno Creativity, binaural beats with hypnosis. And afterwards, we released our creative blocks. It was in Ginger's Garden in Costa Mesa. And we would like write down our, like, to release our creative blocks through binaural beats and hypnosis. And then just to wrap this up on the beginning right there, after that, I didn't want to go back to work, so I joined a good friend of mine, and he goes by Dr. Dream. And this is when he first started doing events. I was the one who produced his events in the beginning. We jumped into his car, his truck, and we went from San Diego to Vancouver to Victoria Island, up and down the coast like 2 or 3 times in a year doing Tibetan bowl healing events. So I was learning how to produce events. I had no email list. I had no marketing abilities. I'd never created events before. I'd have to call local yoga centers. I'd invite people that were spiritual in the community for free to my event so that they would then promote my event. And that's how I learned. Like I would say, like to toot my own horn a bit, I feel like I'm a really good event producer, and it was because I just like threw myself into the fire, and just I was living out of a car for like 3 years doing these events. And after a year, from 2009 into 2010, I stopped working with Dr. Dream, and I met a friend of mine back then who channeled a Syrian being. So I continued the tour, but instead of being sound healing now, it became extraterrestrial channeling events. And then for 2 years, almost twice a week, we were doing Syrian channeling Q&A events, just going up and down the coast. And that was really the start. But the milestone was 2012 when I had my first conference. And there's a huge story after that, but a lot of other things happened, and we've continued to grow. And now I would say like we're one of the largest conscious event production companies in the world. Have over 12,000 hours of content on my site, worked with over 4,000 speakers, done over 3,400 events, and we just continue to grow. And now it's more time for expansion. We're going to get into, today what's going on in the world while I'll be expanding more. But I'm just excited. I've like this, just what's happening today and what's happening in the world excites me. When I see chaos, I see opportunity. When I see systems crumbling, I see that there's a potential for something new. And we're all here on the precipice of that greatness. So I'm really excited for it.
Fantastic. What an amazing story. And I mean, I'm just so blown away with all that Neil does. And he's a brilliant poet. And multiple people have written in the chat box, Neil, you'll have to read all the messages. At least a dozen people talking about how much they love PTA, love your work, love your shows.
Thank
And
you,
people
guys.
asking if you're going to do poetry. And yes, we are going
100%.
to get Neil poetry tonight. Let's go take a look at his beautiful site. This is portal2ascension.org. And isn't that the coolest first coming in, right? And this is where you can see all the upcoming online events. He's got so many of our favorite people. Marguerite Rigoglioso, who's just been on the show quite a bit recently. The Real Disclosure Conference, that's going to be a good one. And our good friend Alan Steinfeld is in the house. We're going to be talking to Alan a little bit about what's going on. Our good friend Geraldine Orozco, so many of the people that we love on the Awakening World, but a lot of people that we haven't had yet that you can meet and see through Portal to Ascension. Where's the best place for people to go to kind of get on your email list? Would it be contact?
Just the homepage, actually. The homepage just has something right there. You can sign up. You get thousands of hours of free content. And January 1st, I'm launching a whole new website that's going to be way more user-friendly. We have a subscription because you can purchase an event and have it forever, but we're also going to have a subscription component as well, and some other cool things on the site too. But
Right.
yeah, the homepage, sign up, you get a username and password, and then you can go ahead and start viewing the content.
Right. And we're going to meet 4 of Neil's favorite presenters that he's brought tonight. But hey, we better get going with what we always do. We start the show with music, and our beloved house musical artist, Omashar, is here with us. And a little bit later in the show, Nina Gray is with us, as those of you who were here early, saw. Mr. Omashar, welcome.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, Neil. That was a great story. I did not know that about you. You rock it, brother. I'm so in awe and impressed. And welcome everybody on Facebook and YouTube and our streaming partners. And we're going to start with a song called Welcome Home. Breathe. Let me shine a light inside, and I'll show you where your truth resides. Lift your eyes up to the skies, and I'll prove to you that nothing dies. Together we will rise again, and we'll make amends for what we've done. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. So let me take your hands in mine. As I look at you, your spirit shines. You see, it's true that we are one, and we came out from the central sun. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory. So when you take a different view and you dream awake, breathe out the new. The world will come alive again as we dance and sing and make new friends. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. Welcome you home. So let me shine a light inside. I'll show you where your truth resides. And lift your eyes up to the skies. I'll prove to you that nothing dies.
Let's go to our first twinkle of the show, to our beloved Omar Shar. A terrific, wonderful, wonderful song.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you for just being so consistent. I love you so much.
Thank you. Right back at you, brother, and all of us.
So there is a lot going on in the world of making contact. And of course, going all the way back to the beginning of when we were doing this Saturday Night Live, Alan Steinfeld, the author of Making Contact, has been an ongoing colleague, co-host. He's the man in the know. He was actually right there, front row practically, for the congressional hearings. He knows everybody in the field. And of course, with the release of The Age of Disclosure, boy, it's really out there right now. So before we get the update from Alan, I'm going to bring Neil in for this conversation too. Audience members, put into the chat box, have you seen Age of Disclosure? And what are your thoughts about it? What have you read? What are you seeing? And Alan, what's the skinny? What's going on out there?
Well, first of all, I want to say I am doing a roundtable discussion with the Her Talks on December 11th about the Age of Disclosure, part of our evolutionary leaders. So I was at the congressional hearing on September 9th, inside that congressional, it's like you feel very official being inside one of these congressional representative houses. I mean, they're rooms where they're questioning these witnesses. And this is the first time, September 9th, 2025, where military witnesses have come forward to say, yes, they have had contact. That was in front of Congress and in front of the world. And then recently we've had this movie, this documentary called The Age of Disclosure, where 34 insiders, people who know the secrets, have come out and said, yes, there are craft, yes, there are bodies, and yes, there's someone stopping us from telling you the whole truth. That was the rub there. So we are at a new threshold, and we have to just keep pushing for this disclosure. Someone like your guest, Danny Sheehan, keeps talking about, it has to be according to Danny and others, this has to be a people's movement. That's why I'm so glad we keep addressing this topic, Scott, because you got the audience to, let's start to have rallies. Let's start to bring people in. This is knowledge of reality that we've been denied, and that's some people said against our freedom of speech, our freedom to know the truth, our freedom to know reality. Would you say, Neil?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the narrative that keeps coming back from a lot of people in the military is the potential for it to be a threat, right? And there's so much evidence to suggest that it's not. Especially, I would say, two biggest pieces of evidence is that even the government officials are saying that they have evidence this has been happening for hundreds of years, to say it's been a threat for hundreds of years. And then a couple of officials saying that they found these UFOs at archaeological digs, right? Like, how ancient is this? And the thing is that if you continue saying it's a national, it could be a threat, then you get it becomes a matter of national security, and now you're allowed to keep certain things secret because it might, get in the way of national security. So that's one of the ways they've been able to cover this up and not release it to the public. But then a lot of people like David Grush and others are saying that, well, if you really look at this technology and the fact that Russia has these UFOs, China has these UFOs, that a lot of the technology actually isn't a national threat. And a lot of organizations or companies have reverse engineered these technologies and become multimillionaires off it and been hiding it for over 80 years, right?
Right.
So what I like to say is that there's some people say, well, we're not ready for contact with ETs yet. Our consciousness is not at that level. But then if government officials are interacting with them, dissecting bodies, having UFOs there, and they're ready for it, because like even David Grush just spoke to a congressional member a few days ago, and Ross Coulthart put out a tweet about it a couple of days ago, saying that David Grush filled him in on the interaction between the government, shadowy parts of government, and the Nordics and the Greys. So literally saying that there's interaction and communication with these beings right now, and a congressional member tweeted about it, right?
Wow.
So there's a whole
I didn't
world,
hear that,
a
Neil.
parallel world happening next to us. Yeah.
Didn't hear that Ross Coulthart interview, but I have to say it is a threat to national security, the people who want to control the minds and a certain narrative. It's a threat to their narrative to come out and have these public discussions and have whistleblowers come forward and say, look, reality is not what you've been conditioned to think it is. It's much bigger and wider, and I say more exciting. So we are being dumbed down. We're being kept in the dark. And like I said, it's a people's movement to rise up and tell the truth and tell what people have been experiencing. Like Marilyn, who's going to be a guest here tonight, has had experiences since she was a child. Mary Rodwell, who's been talking to kids who remembered their lives on other planets. This isn't a way. There she is, Miss Mary. Mary, would you say that you have made, and Marilyn, talk a little bit about your contribution to the field, Mary, where you really validated some of these children's reports of having other lives on other planets.
Thanks, Alan, for that. Well, when you're working with experiences, over 3,000 to 4,000 now, families and children, you realize the intergenerational links. If a parent is having experiences, most likely the children are. But what's different about the children now is they're not shut down in the way that older generations were, either by programming and religious beliefs or cultures, and they're coming out with memory of other planets they came from, their abilities, their mission, why they're here, and the fact that they're telepathic, many of them. They not only communicate with animals, they plants and even crystals. This is all coming out with the children because they don't seem to have the same limit on being able to share, whereas the older generations that I talked to, there was a message almost subliminally, you can't talk about this yet. It's not time to talk about it. And now it seems that caveat has been lifted, and now these children are sharing their stories, and they're profound. They are absolutely connected to our cosmic family, and that is happening right now across the globe. And that is what's fascinating.
Well, one of the people who was a child who's come forward now with this, she's like a bridge, is Marilyn Govecki. And Marilyn, why don't you talk about sort of what Mary's referring to, the childhood experiences, and then how you're integrating this into being an experiencer and messenger?
Well, when I was a child, I was on a craft. It was a teaching craft for human children, but there were also extraterrestrial children. These crafts still exist. There are many, many young children who go on these crafts. The purpose that I understand more and more from my memories of being on the craft, and my actual biological father was very familiar with this. He was the one that took me on the craft. And we learned how to expand our consciousness. We learned how to go beyond the veils that were present on earth, especially at a time when I grew up, so that we could expand our consciousness and not have it be suppressed, as so many of us have had our consciousness suppressed. And on the craft, I learned how to do this. I met Zazar, who I channel. And part of the reason I was on the craft as a child is so I would be able to come and channel this cosmic being. But I think many, many people, and I think these children that Mary has worked with, their ability to shine their light in the way they do kind of goes out, emanates out into our world. And those children that have been on crafts that are reawakening their memories, those kind of memories are reawakening many memories of all generations on our planet of incredible galactic contact.
Right. Mary, what do you say about people like Marilyn coming forward at this point to make that bridge? I mean, have you worked with?
Yeah. Look, Marilyn, kudos to you for your bravery and courage. And I believe disclosure is going to happen from the ground up. It's unstoppable, because no matter what the governments want to do at the end of the day, it's the people ultimately have people power. And the fact that so many credible souls like yourself that are coming out, all ages. I mean, I was talking to a 90-year-old who lives in a care home that told me about her experiences all her life. But it's only now that she's actually talking about her experiences. So it's unstoppable. I think it's an activation, it's an awakening that no matter who you think you are in the governments, if you think you can stop that, well, good luck, because it is being disseminated in an energetic way, absolutely, as well as a verbal way, and on all levels of frequency, we're being activated. So there's no stopping this, whichever way the government wants to be.
And I love that, Mary, because I think many, many people have had contact, and many of these children you've worked with who have very little veils, they are all communicating telepathically in their higher selves. And there is a network of telepathic communication, whether people are aware of this or not. And that network of communication helps people be able to not only remember, but be able to tell their stories. And that network of unity consciousness that's being created by this telepathic communication among many people who've had contact. That's one of the beautiful things of having contact with the galactics, is that we learned that basically we communicate through telepathy, not just through worded language.
Right. Absolutely. And you know what Mary and Marilyn and Neil and a lot of us are talking about is that this is about experiencers. What the age of disclosure does not include is the people's experience. And that takes the phenomena to a whole other, more intimate level. And that's the movie that should be made. Right, Neil?
Exactly. Well, that's what I want to make with you, man. I mean, we created one documentary that was pretty good, and next one's going to be Messages from the Stars. That will be about channeled information and contact. But it's always like what really interests me is that if you look at all these whistleblowers, so-called whistleblowers, because actually they're not technically whistleblowers, many of them, because they actually submit their what they're going to say to the Pentagon and DoD before they say it to get it approved, and they're like two, like they're like they're not directly connected to programs. They have heard about people in the program. So one, we don't really have the people that are actually their reverse engineering craft and things coming out. Maybe Bob Lazar was one of them. Maybe there's one or two here or there. And then the other thing is like the conversation is taking so long to get to who are these beings? Why are they visiting us? What's behind them? It just keeps staying on the technology. But I am seeing it right now. I'm actually not pushing away the government disclosure. I feel that's part of it as well. And everything they do backfires, whether it's not got to anything to do with UFOs, got to do with other controlling mechanisms, because consciousness evolution is inevitable. Cycles of time are real, in my opinion. And as we're evolving, they're going to do things like put out government statements saying that there could be a threat. Is it China? Blah, blah, blah. But all that's really doing is letting more and more people who aren't in the know now start contemplating, oh my God, we're not alone in the universe. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that's first, I think that's the first step is to shift our consciousness to being open to that.
But also what Mary and Marilyn are both saying, that the telepathy and the channeling, this is, as Mary's book is titled, The New Human Coming Forward, that is using a greater facility of mind. Right, Mary? Isn't that your thesis?
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing in the frequencies. And I often point out you have these music shows where they have these children with incredible voices at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, they don't realize, is they're bringing the frequencies through their voice. And they're all saying, aren't they amazing? Yes, they are, because they're bringing in all the higher frequencies and people are really moved by that, but they don't realize this is all part of the activation that's going on around the planet. And that's just one example of how it's happening, which is brilliant.
Marilyn.
Well, I'd like to say that these frequencies, these higher frequencies, are going to be the best contagious event on our planet. Contagious in a really good way, because once you start experiencing these higher vibrations, there's no return. As you say, Neil, there is no return. And by the way, when the government says that contact or ETs are a threat, I want to put a word out there to people who are beginning to remember they're having wonderful contact, that when it's framed that it's a threat, it sort of begins to suppress our consciousness and our remembrance. And I think that's another tactic for those experiencers that are beginning to know the truth of their own star families, of their own remembrances, and their own contact. And I think they are not a threat. I am saying this to everybody. Zazar, who I totally trust, this beautiful cosmic being, the extraterrestrials that are now around Earth are not a threat. And so allow yourself to go inside and feel these high vibrations building. And those vibrations often will create corridors that take you not only to your remembrances of contact, but take you to knowing the truth about you come from the stars.
Right.
This is what's happening on Earth.
And I think with that, Marilyn, a new neurocircuitry opens up so we can cognize, as I say, new realities. And this is what the telepathy tapes are so important about, right? You've heard that, Mary. And we are becoming telepathic. I just had 200 people in my remote viewing class. So we are accessing the new human, the superhuman, the greater mind. And it's really exciting times. And
well, as we get out of that limbic system place, that stress management brain, there's still parts of the brain scientists have no idea what they are about. And those are the parts that are beginning to grow new circuitry for these new sensory modalities that are beyond our physical senses. And those parts of the brain are also building mind field circuitry of the fifth dimensional mind for the new human. And so that I can't think of a better time to be on Earth, even though it doesn't look like that.
That's Mary's book, The New Human. You want to talk about the new human you've discovered, Mary?
Well, the one thing I was going to actually say, apart from the fact that these children are across the globe, it doesn't matter what culture, what belief system, or where, what their programming is, they know who they are and they know they've come with a mission or a mandate. Many of them say, well, I'm a hybrid, and they will mention their star family and that they're part of that star family, That to me is the amazing awareness. But looking at the agendas, when we did the survey with the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Free Foundation Beyond UFOs, one of the most outstanding statistics with 4,200 people was 85% had a psycho-spiritual transformation. What does that tell you about agendas? Ultimately, that 50% had healing, 50% out of that 4,000 had healing on board craft. When you start to see when people try and make out that that ultimately this is a negative, nefarious kind of contact, you've got those kind of stats that are defying all of that, and people saying they've changed and transformed into a completely different perspective on life. They changed their life. They changed from materialism. They become eco-friendly. All of these things. And the other thing that I've been working with many of them is they want to work with their multidimensional abilities. They start to open up. They start seeing orbs. They start feeling presences. They start getting downloads of information, star languages, light languages, and codes and all of this. This is part of the transformation that's actually going on. And wanting to know, well, how do I understand this? How do I now validate these experiences so I know that it's coming from that place? So my job often is giving them the tools so that they can work with that to a point where they're confident that they're working with balance in their new multidimensional abilities, and it changes their lives completely and utterly.
Right. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah. Well, I love that. This is kind of a spontaneous discussion that just happened. So we'll be adjusting our agenda a little bit, everybody. But there's a wonderful question. Since we're celebrating Portal to Ascension, Susan is asking in our audience, how does this all relate to Ascension? What is Ascension? And from each of your points of view, maybe each of you give 1 minute or 2 minutes max on what is Ascension, and what is our portal to Ascension? How does this all relate?
Well, that has to start with you, Neil.
Let's do it. The word ascension, when I first started using the word ascension, portal to ascension, sometimes back in 2009, 10, 11, I would have some kickback where people actually were frustrated I was using that because they didn't relate or resonate with it. And some people were like, oh, we're not ascending, we're descending because we're coming down to earth, and I feel this is all semantics. And the thing is with ascension, and especially back in the day, I would say before 2012, a lot of people considered ascension to be a destination, somewhere where we're going. But the thing is, I feel the universe is one big Xerox machine. It just gives you what you put out there. So if you are putting out the energy of ascension that we are going into some other reality, but you're coming from a place of desperation or lack, or this world that as we know it sucks, basically, you're just going to keep getting more and more of that. So ascension to me is a paradox. Paradox is my favorite word. Everything in the universe and creation is paradoxical. The subatomic world is paradoxical. So the paradoxical element of ascension is the only way we can create an ascended world is by finding beauty in the moment right now. The only way we can create an ascended world is seeing ourselves, and Marilyn did an event with us this morning, and she said, Cesar said, seeing ourselves in the other, finding love in the other, finding love in this moment, seeing the beauty in the way the world is now. So yes, we're ascending these cycles of time where we go through a descension and forgetfulness and a remembrance, quite literally, that is tied to not just metaphysical information, but actual positions of our solar system and our galaxy, yes. But the ascended world is only going to be by us being present with each other, right? Getting rid of distractions, allowing ourselves to feel, right, and heal. And by doing that, we end up expanding our hearts, feeling connection with each other, seeing ourselves in each other, and creating that world. So that's a short synopsis of how I feel what Ascension is.
Well, let me just jump in there. Thank you, Neil. I agree with everything. And it's what you're saying to me and what Marilyn and Mary are saying, it's a frequency. Ascension is increasing our vibratory frequencies, our level of thought, our openness to these other gifts we have. I call them the gifts of the spirit, the gifts of telepathy, remote viewing, remote healing, remote sensing, all these things that are beyond the physical, the five senses that we actually are have available to us in this new vibratory age. It's as we increase our own field, the cellular structure of our bodies starts to increase as we awaken more of the mind that humans have. And what these beings are trying to assist us in knowing more of ourselves, in awakening more of this consciousness, to stop warlike behavior. The favorite pastime Stanton Friedman used to say about humans is tribal warfare. And that can no longer be our favorite pastime as human beings. We need to really come from what I love, Cesar saying, a place of love, love of self, love of others, love of the planet, and love of existence. We are part of a great cosmic family, and we've been so shut down and isolated, and we've done this to ourselves. And now the awakening, just that we're a part of something bigger, is a frequency that's going to ignite, I feel, the cellular structures in our body to start the ascension process. So that's a little bit what I have to say.
Beautiful.
Marilyn, what about you?
Well, I feel like ascension is the ultimate dissolution, dissolvement, disintegration of separation. And we have been separate. People ask, how does ascension tie in with disclosure? Well, one of the things we've been separate from is our cosmic community. We've been separated from ourselves, from our magnificent light fields. We've been separated from each other, from the plants on the planet, the trees, the animals, Earth itself, divine source. We've lived in a separation paradigm. We're coming out of that. To me, ascension is, as Neil said, raising the vibrations and frequencies of the now, so that we can see beyond the reality that we've been programmed to see. And in raising those vibrations, we have the vision to see into the new realities that are coming into Earth, that we ourselves are creating. And in that, we go from separation to a unity consciousness as a human race, and a unity consciousness with the galactics and with the celestials and with the ancient ones on Earth, till we're all in one holy whole. And in that process, we all ascend in the higher vibrational realm. And it's happening now.
Wow. How about you, Mary? Where's your ascension coming from?
Well, you've all been so eloquent. All I would say is, with working with so many beautiful souls, one of the things that many of them are connecting to is not only their subconscious, superconscious, higher self oversoul, but also the intelligences that support them, and realizing that everything is connected, that we're all part of the field, and we all have an influence on the field depending on our thoughts and where we want to be. And bringing it down to the very tangible biological level, which the other part of me always wants to mention, is that I believe that these frequencies are activating our very DNA and opening them up to the information that's available to them. I believe everything is held in our DNA, the Akashic records and all the other ways of gaining information. And one of the ways that's been happening is through frequency and opening up to it and accepting the changes with love and with acceptance. We realize just how amazing we all are, and how connected we all are, and how important every single person is in this wonderful matrix of reality, and to enjoy the journey rather than being afraid of it. I think fear is the one thing on our planet that is holding us back. And if we can transcend that, we are then part of something really quite incredible.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I'm going to come in because I do want to, we got to move forward, but fantastic initial conversation. And our audience is going nuts. They're saying, I am going to read a couple comments, and then we're going to go to Melissa. But Eleanor Joy writes, wow, the first 40 minutes of this show has really ramped up my excitement and connection to my I am presence. This morning during my group meditation, my intention was to become more aware of my I am, and this show is certainly addressing that intention. And Ayada said same thing for me, kind of similar. So people are really, really enjoying the show. Take a look at the comments coming in. I can't read all of them right now. I hope Susan got a little bit better of that was a great question about ascension. I loved what everybody had to say. And I guess I'm going to put in my 2 cents worth because I'm the host and I can do that. As best as I can tell, humanity is moving from survival consciousness, reptile brain reactivity and survival, into thriving, into moving into our frontal lobe. And the people you see on the show that are inspired, the people that are kind of have had the blessing of awakening, whether it's been through hallucinogenics or through connection with ETs or just having good families, whatever it is, we're blessed to have that kind of awakening to what Dr. Jude Curvin calls the unitive narrative. And there's many different names for it, but moving into oneness consciousness, away from survival, away from us versus them, away from the good, bad paradigm. Now, obviously, sadly, a lot of our political establishments right now, a lot of our political figures are really hanging on to us versus them, right versus wrong. And that's why shows like Portal to Ascension and the Awakening World and New Realities and all that we're participating in is important for us to just keep reminding each other and putting out to the world the unitive narrative, leaving the survival paradigm behind as we move forward into a much more loving and compassionate future. And that's what we're doing. We're all creating a compassionate future here. And one of our wonderful presenters tonight, who I'm a big fan of hers, I actually just watched her on the Beyond Christmas program. And I think some of you were there. I saw some of you there. Dr. Melissa Sophia Joy is back with us. She's been on the show before. And welcome, Melissa. I'll, of course, put your bio into the chat box, but let's just jump right in. What are some of your thoughts about the conversation we've been having?
Thank you, Scott, for welcoming me here. I'm so delighted to be back. And I am loving this conversation. There's so many things that, especially Marilyn and Mary and Alan, all of you, Neil, have said that really, really resonated inside of me, especially the conversation around the question, what is ascension? It's something that I've been sitting with for so many, many years. And, everyone said something that was really profound, but Marilyn, you, from my experience, you really hit the nail on the head. It's really about bringing everything back into that unity consciousness, because this is a lot of my work. I have had a lot of experiences with many multidimensional beings, ascended masters. I came more into this work because I had a really deep, really difficult dark night of the soul that lasted for a decade, because for me, I haven't had direct contact necessarily with ETs. What my journey has been is through the experience of having multiple past life memories. And so for me, at the beginning of this process, it was really difficult because I was having all of these memories of my earthly experiences over thousands of years. And as we all know, we've been living through a lot of the filter of victim-victimizer consciousness. And from this experience, in my own healing, I had a vision of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene that came in, and they started teaching me actually how to calm the reptilian limbic system, the somatic contractions and negative voices inside of us, so that then we can receive more and more. And from this experience, I had an incredible amount of healing and awakening. I've been sharing this path with many, many others for many years. However, now over the last decade, quietly behind the scenes, I've been having all of these memories of being an ancient starseed, of being a Lemurian or an Arcturian or a Lyran. And because these past life experiences on these other planets, many of which are living beyond time and space, they are communicating to me in present time. And so my experience of ascension has really catapulted into multiple frequencies and levels of what it really means to receive all of this light and this wisdom and this transmission to transform the density of what I'll call the false light, the false narrative that lives inside of us, the internalized structures, the victim-victimizer, patriarchal mindset, etc., that lives inside of everyone, I believe, so that we can actually come into the unification of all the different levels of the pure light and the pure dark, of the human and the divine, so that we can actually come into the core essence of unity, and so that our ego can rest, and so that we can really understand and feel and sense and live our divinity. And as we do that more and more, we open the doors to the lived experience of our magnificence, the lived experiences of being able to communicate with the field, to be able to be in coherence, to be able to understand, to feel, to sense, to live our clairgnosis, which is the lived experience of the divine inside of us. And so, yes, I really bow to all of your wisdom in what you have shared.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your direct connection, because that I heard you talk about it on Beyond Christmas, and our audience can handle it. So, I would love to hear more about that.
The direct connection with the source, or the direct connection with
You had spoken of that I think it was Sophia when you were talking about
right.
that. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just say that I feel really grateful that I've had a lot of I'm an experiencer. And for me, it's not just about having the experience. For me, it's about having the experience, digesting, integrating that experience, and then allowing that to activate more of my soul mission, because I'm absolutely connected to this intention of doing whatever I can do, of fulfilling my soul mission to bring about the new earth. So this story about my connection with Sophia came when I was in a very, very dark place. And it was after I had the vision of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. Magdalene had come in and was starting to teach me this modality. And actually now I know it's a remembering of what I used to teach as an early Christ teacher many, many years ago, before Rome got involved in the governmentalization of Christianity. And I ended up during that time in my life at a long meditation retreat, because that was one of the guidances that I was being given to really integrate this work into my life. And what ended up happening was that it was probably day 3 of a multi-day meditation retreat where I went into the deepest core of the darkness inside of me. And it felt like I kept on moving through trapdoors of deepening dark, more and more and more, both in the sense of the memories that were coming through. It felt like there was just a lot of really dark energy that I was navigating in the very core. I could say in the core of my shadow, but it really felt like the core of the shadow of my oversoul, because I was navigating multiple past life memories, even in between life. So I'd gotten to this place a few days later where I was still in this really deep, dark place. And I was at this crucible where I couldn't handle anymore. I mean, yes, there was so much grace that was happening. Magdalene was there, and Yeshua was there, and Mother Mary was there, like really helping me through all of these different levels, really understanding and learning, living this modality that I teach now. But ultimately, it just got to the place where I couldn't handle it anymore. And I was at this place where I was getting ready to give up. I didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, I just can't handle it anymore. And then what happened is that this deep, deep, deep dark literally turned inside out. And there was this brilliant white light that appeared, and this booming female voice. And she said, I am here. I love you beyond what you can ever imagine. I've been with you through every single thing that you have walked. I'm here with you now. And you are me, and I am you. And from that experience, I knew in the core of my being that nothing would ever be the same, because I knew that I was unified, that there was no separation, that I was one with Sophia, but she was one with all that is. It's that unified energy, and that darkness that has been feeding my ego for lifetimes and lifetimes, it just collapsed. And I felt completely bathed in love. And as you can imagine, I was bawling and bawling and bawling. And from then, it was just a matter of allowing that imprint of that experience that affected me so deeply to reintegrate my life, to reform my life. to allow me to begin actually start teaching at the level that I knew I was being asked to teach.
So I wanted to kind of have you talk about this a little bit, because I'd say most of the people in our audience have had some sort of a mystical experience, some sort of a big epiphany, some sort of a wake-up call, if you will. But after, the bigger the experience, the more challenging it can be sometimes to be in the matrix, to be back in group consensus reality. So what were some of the challenges you faced in having one foot in that world? And what are some of your ways to manage those challenges?
Well, that's a big question, and it has many different facets to it. The first thing that I will say that I've experienced, and I've talked to a lot of spiritual teachers that have had the same experience, and I see it a lot with my students as well, is that when we have a huge influx of light in our being, that at first it's amazing, right? We're like, the clouds part. We know who we are at a much, much higher level. But give that light time, and that light will go into any parts of us that believe otherwise, any really well-worn egoic voices or aspects of our personality, right? And so the first thing that I discovered that was really challenging was this light coming into kind of a crashing experience with these different beliefs, thought forms. For instance, I'm not good enough. Who am I to be a teacher? What can I share? All these different energies. And so a lot of the integration of this for me, multiple awakening experiences, is allowing that to be a normal experience, to know that the light is actually showing up what's still hidden, what's still frozen, what's still collapsed inside of us, so that those parts of us can actually in their own time be able to open and receive this light, to trust this light, to allow the compassion and the love to actually allow these parts to rest. The other thing that I have found difficult is that, for me personally, I'm a very outgoing person. Astrology, I'm a Leo with an Aries moon. I have a lot of fire. And what I discovered is that even though I have a tendency in my personality to be very extroverted, as I would experience these deeper awakenings, these experiences of unification, I found that I really needed to pull back. I needed to pull back. I needed to take care of myself. I needed to, stop media. I needed to stop, all social media, et cetera, so that I could have the time to really be with myself, so that I'm not influenced by anyone, including influencers, including other spiritual teachers, even, who are having their experience, because it was my experience. And that doesn't mean that, other people are giving bad advice. It just means that as we come into unification with our experience of the divine, we need to honor ourselves, because part of what happens is that we are being invited to empower ourselves with our sovereignty and with our clarity and with our truth inside of us.
Beautiful. That's powerful. One of the things that also can happen, I'm curious how you've managed that, is the greater the light, the greater the shadow. I love how you described it goes in and finds the parts of ourselves that are insecure, but it also can expand the parts of ourself. There could be expansion of ego, or, we all have some compulsive behavior. Now, it might just be for Haagen-Dazs ice cream late at night, or it might be something that has a bigger consequence. What have you observed, either with yourself or some of your students, around the expansion of the shadow side and how to manage that?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a really important question, because really it comes down to the heart of spiritual bypass, right? And so, imagine our ego. It has many different layers to it. And one of those layers is spiritual ego. Right? And so spiritual ego and spiritual bypass, if you're not familiar with those words, let me just define what I'm talking about. So it's basically spiritual ego is making ourselves aggrandize, like, oh, look at me, I've had all these spiritual experiences, now I'm so amazing, and oh, for you haven't had that, right? So it's, in essence, it's another level of judgment where we're judging others because they haven't had those experiences, and we're making ourselves better, right? As you can imagine, this is not, this is definitely a sidestep to the actual awakening experience. So we need to bring in a lot of awareness. One of the things that I have experienced over and over again from multiple different levels is an awareness of that humility, true, authentic humility, not the martyrdom humility, but the true, authentic humility that comes from our spiritual connection into this love source, into union. It actually is an imperative, a foyer, so to speak, to actually step into awakening. The same is true for spiritual bypass, meaning that we move into such levels of high spiritual experiences that we now pretend or tell ourselves, oh yeah, that thing, I don't have that anymore. Now I'm a spiritually awakened person. But actually that can get you into a lot of trouble. We see this with a lot of, there's a lot of history with gurus, for instance, who get themselves in trouble by doing things that aren't in alignment, right? Because more than likely, I don't know anyone's story, but I've seen it before. If you do this, then it will come and bite you because it's not in alignment. We do need to actually clear, transform, dissolve the dark shadow so that we can be in full ascension within our divine humanity. So we need to bring in light into all facets of ourselves in the capacity that we have. We don't want to do this too fast because it's going to be too much for our nervous system, et cetera, et cetera. But as we bring more and more light into our being, then very often it gets harder before it gets easier. But then once everything settles, the freedom, the sovereignty, the awareness, the divinity, there's no way to even articulate, where we're being invited into as we really humbly move into this path.
Beautifully stated. One of the things that I've been working as a coach and working with people for a long time, including my own personal journey, I really believe that our big wounding, our big life challenges, it's not about fixing it or having some epiphany and it's resolved. It's about learning how to honor and manage whatever our wounding is or whatever our issues are, whether it's addiction or low self-esteem or whatever it might be. We all have these challenges that maybe they're coming from our ancestry, maybe it's coming from past life, probably a combination of all of that. But we have to recognize it's about honoring and managing those things and not just having an epiphany and then thinking it's going to be gone. Yeah. All right, well, we are getting a little homeopathic dose of your wonderful medicine, and I want to learn more about some of your offerings. So we're on her website, and it's SophiaHealingAcademy.com. SophiaHealingAcademy.com. I want to encourage everybody to do what I'm doing right now. Put in name. Whoops. Hopefully I can spell my name properly. And tell us about the free ebook that we're going to get and that I'm going to receive now.
Absolutely. So this is a book that I wrote a few years ago about somatic awakening, the essence of it, and the keys that really help to transform the dense shadow, the negative voices, the contractions of trauma, rather, that fuel our triggers, that fuel our, negative perception of the world. And the more that we can actually bring in our higher consciousness, which is at one with the divine, and actually come into relationship with these aspects of us, the more that they settle, the more that they transform. And, interestingly, I will say that as I have gone through the experience of not only walking through somatic awakening and teaching it, but also having these experiences with these other ET races, whether they be Lyran or Arcturian, as well as, you know, the Earth race Lemurian, which, if you don't know who the Lemurians were, they lived tens of thousands of years ago prior to Atlantis in a state of oneness and love. As they have communicated more and more to me, one of the things that's happening is that my teachings are expanding. Even the name of my school will probably even be changed, because it's expanding to these teachings where I'm bringing in all this information about quantum awakening, bringing in all this information about the Rose Grail path, which absolutely is connected to Magdalene and Mother Mary, but it goes back thousands and thousands of years, connected to the path of the dragon and the path of mastery. So there's a lot that's coming in that is started out with somatic awakening, because we need to transform the ego structure and the density within us in order to receive. But then we receive more and more of this divine connection. And all of a sudden we gain coherence to communicate with the field, to bring in not only manifestation, but to be masters of abundance, to be masters of unity, to be masters of love. And so there's a lot that's coming down the pike. Next year, I'm going to be doing a whole website redo and many different classes, many different programs, both introductory and longer many month programs are coming on board. And so I'm really excited that this is the first official public announcement that I've made where I'm sharing all of these different new things that are coming in. They're not actually really new, because really what they're coming from is my experience of receiving these teachings by these incredible beings that are part of our ET family. Because, you know, keep in mind, you know, earlier we were talking about contact and disclosure, but many, many, many of these beings are living in such a high frequency that they are living beyond time. And one of the most, I want to share just a little bit about one of the most significant memories, if I may, and that is the experience that I had recently about a Lyran experience, a Lyran lifetime, where I had this experience many years ago in a healing session where I saw myself on a planet in the Lyran area where it was exploded, and I knew that I was on that planet. And I didn't know anything about what was going on at the time, but I did some research and I realized, oh, this is during the Orion Wars. This makes sense. And what ended up happening is that as I started connecting more and more with this ancient, millions of years old part of me, what I discovered was that this race that I was a part of, we were fully connected to Creator. Our job was to nurture the heart of creation. We had spent millennia at one with Creator, and we were beings that were incredibly ethereal. We're very, very, very tall, ethereal beings, and our job was to nurture the heart of creation. We were in absolute unification with the law of love and the law of one. And so this part of me, her name is Ayalisha, comes to me now and communicates to me. Like, even this morning, she was communicating to me about the mansion of the heart and how in the very, very center of our heart, we are unified with the universe. And I was feeling that. And so I am just so excited that I get to be part of Disclosure, but in a very, very different way through time and space. And I'm able now to share more and more of these teachings through a tangible way so that people not only understand them and hear the stories, but that they can activate their quantum reality, their unification, their connection to the law of love and the law of one inside of them, so that not only are we going to be stepping into being citizens of the earth, we are stepping into be citizens of the galaxy and citizens of the universe. How do we do that? How do we actually know ourselves as human and divine? And that's what I'm being asked to teach. And this is what I'm opening to.
Wow. Well, I'm going to add our mutual friend Neil Gaur to the spotlight because I want for people to know about what you're going to be doing for Portal to Ascension next week on December 13th. So that's next Sunday. You're going to be speaking with our good friend Marguerite Rigoglioso, Trisha McCannon, who I've known forever, our beloveds JJ and Desiree Hertak, Kira Windrider, and of course Neil Gaur, The Truth and Life of Yeshua. And so Neil and Melissa, tell our audience just a little bit about, obviously it's obvious, just register right here, go to Portal to Ascension. It's the very first event that comes up. But anything you want to add about this program?
Yes. I'll add I'll talk about the general theme, and then Melissa, you can speak about what you're going to talk about. And first of all, I got to say that I'm really happy to be here with Melissa because we just opened up a whole sponsorship component on Portal to Ascension like 6, 7 months ago. And Melissa and Maria, who are on today, are both Portal to Ascension sponsors, so they're on a deeper level. We're supporting each other on a really deep level. And this Yeshua conference, 'tis the season, guys. Every single year in December, we go all out with the season. I love it. And I'm going to start doing that for every season now, including Halloween and beyond. But this year, I wanted to do, a few years ago, I did Truth About the Bible, just going like into deep esoterics, all the hidden texts and all that. And I really wanted to just go into Yeshua's life because even though I've been unfolding a lot of truth about his life over the last few years, just last year I read Kira Windrider's book on Yeshua's life in India, and it blew my mind. Like, not it was a combination of channeled information and text from India about Yeshua, and talking about Mary Magdalene and the Magda tribe out of India, and how one of the tribes of Israel was relocated from Israel by the Assyrians to Kashmir, and how his family was there. So much more information is coming out. So I really just went into choosing the people that I felt had the most wide range spectrum of awareness with this for us to infuse this time of year. There's so much fun during this time, but there's also so much information said as facts that maybe aren't facts, that people are taking and adopting. So I feel this time of year is a really good time for us to shed some other perspectives on what this really represents, who Yeshua was, what the Christ consciousness is. And then after I created this event, Melissa soon came on as a sponsor. And so I asked her what events she wants to be a part of. And this was like the first one. She was so excited to be a part of it. So I'm excited to have you be a part of it too, Melissa. What are you going to be sharing about?
Well, thank you so much, Neil. I'm super excited because this is something that is so close to my heart and so close to, what I'm here to offer. And so what I'm going to be sharing about is definitely connections to some of the lost scrolls and the information from that, but it's going to be from a very different perspective because, as I mentioned a moment ago, my path really, really began when Yeshua and Mary Magdalene showed up in the middle of the night in a visionary state. And from that experience, I received a lot of information that eventually was formed into this modality that I now call Somatic Awakening. But what I was told after I really started teaching this and really understanding it at a deeper level is that the modality that I teach now was an ancient form that was practiced right after Yeshua's death, before Rome got involved in the sense of governmentalizing their religion. And so what I'm going to be sharing is the deeper meaning of what it means to have heaven on earth, the deeper meaning of embodiment, and how the Christ energy actually helps awaken that inside of us, how the Christ Sophia energy helps us to actually be both human and divine, and to bring that into unity inside of us. So the essence of it is how we can live. You'll hear the theme again, how we can live through the law of love and the law of one through this Christ consciousness. And at the end of that teaching, Yeshua is going to be coming in for a transmission channeling. And I'm even just speaking, I get goosebumps because channeling him just transforms my life every single time it happens. He's such an incredible master of love.
I can't wait. Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of information. That's why it's great doing these all day events, 6, 7, 8 hours, because we get to have so many different people and perspectives where there'll be some historical fact, and then there'll be transmissions. And what you're going to do, and I know some others are going to speak about it, but I feel you're going to be more practically assisting with the transmission, is what are the teachings of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and how do we implement that nowadays in this moment right now to embody that frequency? There's one level of understanding and intellectualizing it all, but it's really about like, okay, now that we know what it is, how do we utilize it for our own upliftment and for the world? So it's going to be,
So that, yes, and so that we can all be experiencers,
yes,
right?
exactly. All
At that level.
connected.
All right, so one more time, everybody, you'll find it. Go to portaltoascension.org. It's the very first event that comes up. And let's all plan on being there next Saturday, December 13th, a week from today. And I'm certainly going to check out the first part of it before getting ready for tonight, for next week's show. So thank you both. Last thing, just a reminder one more time that you can find all things Melissa by going to her website, and there's a lot there. And I know she's going to be updating it, but definitely make sure you sign up, become on her email list, sophiahealingacademy.com. And thank you so much for being with us. And it's time for a little more music. And I'm delighted that we've got Nina Gray, who agreed to come back. She was with us about 6 weeks ago. She is one of our all-time favorite musical artists and also one of our favorite human beings. So, Nina, how has this conversation touched your heart as you show it to us that way? Oh, we need you to unmute because we want to hear what you have to say. Still can't hear you. One moment.
Hello.
Hey, there's that beautiful voice.
Oh, it took my breath away. It left me speechless, this conversation.
That's why it took a little while for you to come back. Any thoughts, anything that comes up for you that brought home some of your own personal experiences?
Oh my goodness. So much. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Dr. Melissa. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Scott, always. The conversation on somatic awakening and embodiment resonates so deeply. And this movement from here to lived moment by moment by moment experience really feels on the pulse of our unfolding ascension and awakening as we exist in this time-space dimension. And I love it. I love this conversation. It's so enlightening, so resonant. And what's lighting up for me too is the tool. You mentioned this movement from survival to thriving. And recently a downloaded message around, the closer we are to a deep breath it reflects where we are on the scale of thriving and surviving. And when our access to a deep breath is close at hand, it's like we are in our embodied state. We are available to be channels, to be messengers, to be used, to be open to the frequency that wishes and desires to move through us. So this tool that's literally right under our nose, right inside our chest, right in our breath, is available, and such a wonderful reminder moment by moment of where we are. So a song on breath that I'll share to open up some deep breaths within us all. When my mind can't find the words and my heart's a mess, I got to remind myself to breathe through it. When there's fire behind my eyes, grief inside my chest, I got to remind myself to breathe through it. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out so you can breathe it all in. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out so you can breathe it all in. Hey, oh. When the weight of this whole world feels so heavy on my soul, I got to remind myself to breathe through it. When the shadows and the depths will not let me get no rest, I got to tell myself, breathe through it. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out. Breathe it all in. Breathe it all in. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out. Then breathe it all in. And don't make it complicated, babe, just breathe. Don't you worry about if you're doing it perfectly. Don't make it complicated, babe, just breathe. Let your chest rise up and fall down naturally. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself.
I just love that woman's voice. My God. So beautiful, Nina. It's all sending lots of love and appreciation. Lots and lots of hearts are flying. Oh my gosh. And you can find, she's going to do another song for us a little bit later on in the show. And you can also find her on her website, Nina Gray, spelled Grae, Nina Gray, Grae.com. And you can learn about her albums. And do you have your Patreon back on yet?
YouTube would be the best way to explore music and to be in the space of creations that I've shared, and that would be
Okay,
the channel
I
for
will
that.
find your YouTube channel and show it after your next song.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Scott. Thank
Oh
you
my
all for
God,
being
thank you
here.
so much. I was just love having you on the show. It's such a blessing. Thank you very, very
Thank
much.
you.
Well, we are going to go back to our beloved Alan to introduce our next speaker. And let me find you, Alan. Where are you? Whoever can find Alan. Oh, it's because he doesn't have his
Oh, I'm
camera.
here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm
Got
here.
the camera on, buddy.
Here I am.
All
Scott.
right. Thank you. And it's your opportunity to introduce us to Marilyn, even though we already kind of spontaneously met her, but maybe tell her a little about Marilyn and Zazar.
Well, Marilyn, she's a good friend and she's such an honest, sincere person. She comes from the psychology world. I think she said that before. And then she started to get in touch with her times on board these craft when she was younger with her father, and this whole awakening she had as a child that she suppressed when she became a therapist, and then she reactivated it. I'm not sure why, but this was probably the time, and she got in touch with that being that's the picture right behind her, Zazar, this elfin blue skinned being from the sixth dimension, I think he is. And Marilyn and Zazar are both beautiful beings of love. I don't know who has more, but it's not a contest. But they both bring through a message that's really uplifting. I mean, she is, lots of people channel, but I'm very particular about my channels, and Marilyn is one of my favorites. And I said this today when I introduced you, Marilyn, that your gift to me was realizing that we need to appreciate our magnificence if we're really going to shift our vibration, because the incarnation is so full of energy and possibilities, and the world tries to keep us down. But when we start to realize our magnificent, we start to blossom, we start to become more abundant, we start to understand the true nature of reality. And that was a gift that you and Zazar gave to me. So just giving that back to you. Thank you for being here and being so sincere and tuned into the times right now as we start to move into this higher vibrational energy. Thanks, Marilyn and Zazar, for being here. Appreciate you.
Well, it was great to be with you and Neil earlier today. That was a wonderful time I had with both of you. And Zazar was pretty energized by the whole thing. But thank you, all of you, tonight. It's just wonderful. These are the gatherings that indeed change the world. So
is Zazar tired? Is he going to come talk to us tonight?
Oh, of course. Zazar's never tired. Marilyn's the one that gets tired.
Are you
It is
okay?
after 10 o'clock on Saturday night, but Zazar is ready to go at any time. He sometimes wakes me up at 3 in the morning with things he wants to teach. They seem to be urgent, so I wake up.
Well, let's go for you and Zazar, because he has a really definite message, and this is the perfect audience. This is your Zazar audience right here, Marilyn.
Okay.
So go for it.
Okay. So it is wonderful to be here. Always so wonderful to be here. So many humans ask me, what are the true signs of ascension? How do you know it's really happening? I say, well, if you're tuned into a show like tonight, can't you see it on the beautiful humans? These are humans in action of manifesting ascension. You are also beautiful here tonight. When you were playing the beautiful piano and everybody was dancing on the screen, this is the humans in action of showing the soul light. Look, when you all came in, this is a very important time on earth, and I am here for one of the main purposes is to help you know the truth of your magnificent light field within. Ascension is the conscious awareness of the vibrational experience of now. It is conscious awareness of the vibrational experience of now. You have so been taught you are a materialized form. And in that materialization, you have lost your senses to understand and experience vibration and frequencies. And so ascension is the conscious awareness of vibrational experience of now. And in that awareness, you are able to begin to shift that awareness to be in higher vibrational states. Look, when you all came into this planet, and believe me, you all chose to come in at this time, you went through what we call the fabric of the seeded DNA. You came through this fabric as a soul, and before you came into the womb, you were seeded with something very, very special, seeded in your DNA to be awakened, as many of you talk about, in this time right now. And so you have this seeded DNA that is starting to spark open, some of it cosmic DNA, some of it star-seeded DNA, and you came through this fabric, and these seeds were laid upon your soul with everything else that you brought in for this lifetime, for this mission, to be one of the ones who will co-create this new world. And so you have these seeds in your DNA that are lighting up. Now, you have lived in separation and with veils over this truth about who you are and what you are to bring to earth. But I want to tell you, this veil of separation that has surrounded earth for eons has now been lifted. Lifted because of the help from the galactics and the celestials and the ascended masters, yes, and the ancient ones on your planet, but lifted because human consciousness is moving into a higher plane of vibration. And in that movement to a higher place of vibration, you have begun to dissolve this separation that has surrounded your planet. And that big veil is now almost completely faded. What does this mean? It means the light that is coming into your planet from so many sources, and the light that is coming into the planet from you discovering your magnificence, and that light is rising. And in that, you are becoming more in unity with everything that surrounds you. But first you are, and beautiful Melissa talked about this, the unified state within. And this is what is happening as the veil is shifting. And so many of the children, beautiful Mary works with. And by the way, Mary, I have something to say to you. I have to say this. It is so beautiful. Every child you have worked with, you have allowed them, you have given permission to them to be who they are without the veils. And when you have done this, these children have created a weaving around the earth plane, a weaving of corridors to the cosmos, opening earth up so that when this veil of separation has been dissolved, these corridors created by these children. And Mary, you have done so much to give permission to the truth of who they are, so they no longer have to experience what so many others have, which is the repression of the light, especially their star-seededness. And so their consciousness has united across the globe, all these children, and created a weaving that creates a network of fabric that moves out in the cosmos, linking Earth more clearly to its cosmic neighbors. I just wanted to say, we thank you so much, Miss Mary, Dr. Rodwell. We thank you so much. And we thank all of you who are doing this work. It is really existing in the light plane. Let me tell you something else. You did not know that cells existed until you discovered microscope. To look into it, to say, hey, there are molecular structures in the body. You did not know there were galaxies until you discover the telescope, who, when you look through, you can see there is so much more to your world than you knew. You did not know of the quantum world until the quantum scientists developed devices to measure the quantum world. There is a new device on Earth as you are moving into the light. It is the device of consciousness itself. And so many humans say to me, where is this light you speak of? It looks like there is so much darkness on the earth, so much density. That is there because when you break through the densities with your light, the light that you produce from that breakthrough is enormous, and it has repercussions for your entire galaxy and universe. But this beautiful light that you are coming to be is raising the vibration of your entire planet. And your consciousness is becoming the device by which you will begin to see into the invisible where the light lives. And many of you are developing those higher sensory perceptive soul modalities that can see the light that is coming into your planet and coming out of the humans who are having awakenings. It is your consciousness that begins to move up a level and two and more to see into the invisible and be able to see the truth that there's so much light going across the planet, that there is unity consciousness now among the humans. And these are templates that are springing up that surround your earth now. And as you develop this higher consciousness to remote view, to bilocate, to levitate, to be telepathic, you will also have a sensory modality in your consciousness where you will be able to see more and more light and less dark. And as you see less and less dark, as you see less and less dark, you make it a less and less reality. As you are able to vision the light around the world, as you are able to vision your neighbor has light, not just densities, as you are able to vision that you are the disperser of your own light, because you are recognizing that finally separation can end from your own light source. And as you move into becoming the light that is your birthright, as you are coming into moving into the soul light you brought to earth to change these times, to bring the light into the illuminated wisdom into earth. You are the co-creators of the new paradigm that is happening. Yes, the new paradigm that is happening, that is clashing with the old paradigm, that is trying to grasp its life's breath, because there is nothing that will stop the light. Nothing is more powerful than that. And you hold that power, and it is coming to be, and it is coming through your consciousness. So you will begin to see more and more around the world, more and more of these shows, more and more of these events, more and more people downloading the wisdom. And you will begin to know that you have so much help from the galactics. That is why it is so important in the ascension process. And so you will see these astronomical events that are in your solar system, like the 3-eye atlas and like the BB comet coming behind it, and the 3-eye atlas holding so many light codes for your planet. It is near you now. It passed through the sun, creating a lot of beautiful solar storms, so they would come to earth with the new light the atlas is carrying. Yes, people say, oh, it is just a comet. Oh, it is not just a comet. It is a messenger from heaven. And it is bringing these light codes from all the galactics that have ever worked with these ancient civilizations on earth that knew wisdom from long ago. And these light codes are springing forth from these ancient civilizations on earth, like Atlantis and Lemuria and Egypt. and Camora Condom, all these places are springing forth their light codes. This is the time. And as your light springs forth, you will develop fields, what I call receptor fields, to take in these light codes of wisdom from your ancient ones and the light codes of the galactics. And on this particular Atlas Comet craft, there is a beautiful, pure template of the Sophia, divine feminine, energetics that are also showering your planet so it can come into a rebalancing act with the divine feminine. This is all happening. So much is happening. Your sun, your solar sun, is directly aligned with your galactic sun, and your galactic sun is directly aligned with the universe sun. And this alignment produces a beautiful diamond light that is coming into Earth now to stimulate and water the seeds within so they might bloom in your DNA, to know your special gifts, gifts that will bring the new realities into the new dawn on earth. It is what I call building the golden 12th bridge. This golden 12th bridge is the bridge to the new civilization on earth that you are beginning to co-create. You are the architects. It has to happen human to human. And in this human to human, you are building unity communities. And the power you will have in these unity communities, you will never know the power of the human heart like it is going to explode in these unity communities to build a new earth where the new human will birth herself, himself into the new times. These unity communities, like tonight, you are establishing a unity community, and it is so powerful because every single light that every single one of you feels tonight moves into a unity template, and that unity template forms a beautiful wheel, and that wheel now is moving throughout the earth, showering other humans with the magnification of your light, of your desire to join with each other like you are tonight. It's so incredible. You are witnessing tonight ascension on earth by gathering, and in that gathering, magnifying your light, knowing the truth on a deeper level of your illuminated soul heart complex, and begin to operate out of your heart, sending love to each other, which is the alchemic energetic cure for everything that ails you. You haven't even begun to touch how beautiful love will heal the earth. Human to human love. To take a moment, the beautiful song which used to say, deep breath. And I tell you to take a deep breath right now of the light, and to take the out breath of love, and you send it to each other, and you build this amplified field of human consciousness, of love and light. And you can't believe how light loves to travel with love. Light is the vehicle, love is the passenger. And so it is dispersed to all of earth. And tonight you have once again brought new fuel for the new dawn of earth. What a glorious time to be on earth. What a glorious time you have chosen to be in this incarnation that has the ability to ascend a dimension onto, from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, in one material manifested life. Waste not, for this life will affect so many lives to come.
Cesar, your passion and of course what you're sharing is so inspiring. And the whole purpose of this show is to inspire people, and you're doing it beautifully. We do have a question for you. It's from Dr. Laura. Cesar, did all souls incarnated on Earth at this time receive those ascension seeds from the old to the young, no matter what situation they were born into?
This is important question, Dr. Laura, because some would have to say that some will ascend and some will not. That idea is still in the old paradigm of polarization and dualism. So I say to you, yes, all souls pass through this curtain, this fabric of the seededness in their DNA. Now, some are slow to uptake and bloom the seeds, as you know, but all souls on earth have a flicker of this lighted seed. The new children coming, as Mary will tell you, the new children coming are in full-fledged DNA activation of so many of these gifts. And they will stimulate, they will produce what I call etheric enzymes, which they will emanate. And many of you already do, who have had awakenings. You disseminate these etheric enzymes that go out and will begin to trigger the seeds in other humans, even humans who seem to be the densest. Everybody has the free will to decide to ascend. And so, yes, everybody has it. Some are slower on the uptake, but everybody is having an awakening of a kind. It is just that humans should not pass judgment on what another journey is. Sometimes people keep darker densities around because they have learned to live in a dense world. And so their densities simply help them survive the dense world because they know how to dance with the densities. Once the light begins to take over, those survival tools will begin to dissolve, and as they dissolve, they will give room for these seeds to begin to bloom in everyone on earth. And that is the new dawn. And for many of you, it is already happening.
Beautiful. Thank you very, very much. Eleanor Joy writes, Cesar, thank you so much for this inspiring and loving message. DR reminding us, writing what you wrote, light is the vehicle, love is the passenger. We love that. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your inspiration. Neil, is there anything you'd like to share or add?
No, just gratitude, really. We had a 2-hour conversation this morning with Cesar, and I feel that quote that you just said, light is the vehicle, love is the passenger, that just like made me have goosebumps all over my body. So Cesar, thank you for coming down at this time. Thank you for choosing Marilyn, your relationship, and I feel like the transmission was a shot of espresso. Just an infusion of energy, seriously, especially this late at night over here. Like I just felt that energy, and your passion just carries over, and it's a reminder of why we do this. Because honestly, sometimes there's a lot of mundane tasks involved in the work that we do. Well, I do at least, and hearing things like this are just reminders of why I'm here and what I'm doing it for, and just reinvigorates me. So, Cesar, Marilyn, thank you so much.
Hey, I just have a quick question for Cesar. Are we expecting an uptake on the energies as we move into 2026? What can we expect?
So I will tell you this. So much has been laid out, so much help from the higher realms, so many signs from the astronomical and the galactic realms have come into Earth. So many have awakened. 2026 will be the year of total manifestation. And so many of you are already manifesting, but you will learn how to hold the higher vibrations long enough for the vibrations to move your intuitive selves into forming new pathways that will guide you in actual manifestation of your gifts, your star codes, and your mission. 2026 will be an incredible, fertile year of humans manifesting their soul missions and their gifts on earth. And so much will be given to you on how to do this and what this means on a vibrational level. So many people begin to understand Ascension. Now it is time to manifest it so that more and more in the whole world can know the truth that it is happening now. So that's what I would say for next year.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I want to remind everybody that you can find Marilyn and all sorts of amazing presenters on Portal to Ascension. Just go to Portal to Ascension, click presenters, and then put in the name that you're looking for. And it's remarkable how many incredible presenters have been part of Portal to Ascension. Literally, it just goes on and on and on. There's our friend Adam Apollo, by the way, who will be on the show Wednesday night. So thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Cesar. Thank you, Neil. And speaking of Neil, not only is he an extraordinary, puts together conferences, events, Portal to Ascension, but he is a wonderful poet. And we love Neil's poetry. And so we are now going to have a Neil Gaur poetry time.
All right. Thank you so much. So some of you may not know, poetry is one of my biggest passions. And actually, since the last time I've been on the show, which is I think over a year and a half ago, I've been taking music more seriously than I've ever taken in my life. And I've actually released 3 albums in the last year. So I'm going to put a link in the chat right now. You can take a look at my Spotify MC Resonance. And here in Colombia, I moved down here with my best friend, Chris Noble, and we just finished a 10-track album. And so when Omashar was performing and he said Central Sun, it really sparked something in me because that's the name of this album. It's called Central Sun. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat. First one is my Spotify, MC Resonance. My album's out there. And then we're going on tour next year, starting in Athens, Greece, and then Amsterdam, healthemusictour.com. And that's going to be multidimensional sacred geometry, virtual reality immersion with hip hop music, poetry, singer-songwriter, aromatherapy, cacao chocolate, full-on multidimensional experience. So if you're in Europe, check us out, healthemusic.com, healthemusictour.com. And so today I'm going to do 2 poems that are on the new album. And it's a hip hop album, but it's like poetry with singer-songwriter. And the cool thing is, like, when I came down here in Colombia 4 months ago with my friend, and we were going to create music, we started sitting down to put it together. And as we were doing it, all of a sudden I went into the archives of music that I wrote when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. And he went into the archives of beats that he created when he was the same age. And it was like a nostalgic moment. It was just so healing of our like childhood selves of when we just became adults after we left high school. And we created a whole album with my lyrics from when I was like first waking up to a lot of this and having universal questions. And if you know anything about my music, I like to freestyle rap. I'm a really fast rapper. I love to do slam poetry really fast as well. So the cool thing with this is straight up poetry, right? So this is like, it's like we converted the poetry to hip hop. So the first one's called Butterfly Will Sting. And the first verse in the Butterfly Will Sting is basically a near-death experience. So you'll just listen to it from it's basically somebody at the end of the world dying and what is seen in this new world. And then it gets into more of an evolution of consciousness and a new world energy. And then the other one is called Heaven's Calls. And when I wrote both of these when I was 19, 20, which is like 22 years ago now. And the second one is like when I was just waking up to a lot of this stuff, and I'm like, is heaven real? Does Jesus exist? Does heaven call, or just writings on the walls, right? So it's a conversation between myself and God, just like calling out to the universe. And so the album's going to be released in January. We're trying to drop it in January 2nd so that we can make it like the theme for the year, you know? And so again, you can check it out on Spotify. So here we go. This one's called Butterfly Will Sting. I can feel the creeping poison. The butterfly will sting. I hear the noise fading from the world which I'm in. If I open my eyes widely, I can see the creature's wings. I feel the earth maneuvering under the sun. The new age has begun. My destiny chose me wisely. No bruises, no cuts, no anything. I meditate and I meet with true friends. I see clouds surround the sun, like galactic arms embracing the one. The black hole would destroy the earth again, recycle my soul, my physical manifestation. The planet is moving, waiting to be pulled into this dimension. No pity for this world of men at insurrection's end, knowing that this chapter is over. It's time for the resurrection, once again. A stone throws away, contaminate, vain way to exercise brain. Different time, same day, fade away, fame will play a modest role. Stumble and fold, the scriptures told, masses in societal organization, embrace the revolutionized desolation, anarchy from control, peace from communal ambition, perishing souls. Stay or go, teach or be told, hate or let go, amateur or pro, friend or foe, duality of the physical world. Materialism of gold, money, diamonds, and pearls hurl the stone back into place. Blood and bones of the human race, the spirit of the bitterless lace, acid tests with psychedelic colors fascinate. And heavenly awake me. Ultimately face me as I morph the face of the humanity. The butterfly will sting. The butterfly will sting. The butterfly will sting. But it's just a temporary thing. Let's all take a deep inhale together. All right. This one's called Heaven's Calls. And I had the opportunity, I went to a conference called the Channel Panel in West Virginia a few weeks ago. And we went to an open mic and randomly had a live band playing behind me. And we got a chance to perform this. It was so impromptu. And this is going to be our first single that comes out. Heaven calls from beyond the waterfall. From a twinkle in the eye to a man standing 6 foot high, heaven calls from beyond the waterfall. And I immediately let everyone know I'm lost. Words, action, thoughts ingrained in my brain, all I wish to be superficially sane again, like these ants in the world. Living, loving, talking, engaging, eating, walking. A bowl of grain that was picked by someone less fortunate, maybe in sunshine or rain. Heaven calls while I drown in the waterfall. And I beg for forgiveness from all. From when I was small, I believe there was more to this planet, this universe, but they're only black holes. I realize I know nothing at all. Heaven calls, or is it just writings on the walls? Scriptures, prophecies, laws that make us think that we're not alone in this planet, in this universe? God is in your homes. Does heaven call? Or is it just a writing on earth's vast halls? What is the point of anger? God, do you really love me? Forgive me when I'm on my knees, begging God, please hear my cries. God, please tell me why I can only use a part of my mind until the moment I die. We are immaterial in a universe where only one world with billions of other races for your control. Why is my relationship with you so personal? How come I can see you in full form right in front of my eyes, telling me all superficial existence is a lie? So find your own meaning to life. And when you die, I will hold you by my side. explain to you the divine that you cannot apprehend in a world of science. But I want to come right now. Leave this place because I don't belong. What I know makes it hard for me to go on, so wave your wand and facilitate my move into the next dimension with ease, please. I don't want to be in pain when I'm erased from this life of superficial gains. Pain is nothing but a signal being sent to your brain. Can you leave your material life? No, you're not ready to come. No, you're not ready to come. Some years must pass until your life is done. Thank you. The next part's the chorus. I don't have that. I can't sing, so thank you guys.
Let's do some beautiful twinkles. I just am always blown away by your beautiful wordsmithing and the passion. I tell you, we have a lot of passion tonight between you and Cesar. It's a passionate night. Thank you very much, Neil.
Thank you, brother.
And please put into the chat box where people can find you on Spotify.
Yeah, so put the link there, MC Resonance on Spotify. Find it there. I have, one album that's just spoken word. We have a Dragon Light Language album coming out, which is you think I'm rapping in Sanskrit, but the whole thing is Dragon Light Language with hip hop instrumentals, and it's really cool. It's an activation album as well, so do check it out. But if you can join us on tour, if you're in Europe, then healthemusictour.com.
Great. Mary Rodwell is next, and we're going to have Alan introduce her, but his camera is off. So Alan, either pop in right away.
I'm here, Scott. I
Um,
am here and ready to introduce Mary. Yes.
there you are. Okay, great. Thank
Just
you. You
taking a
make it
little-
hard for me, I tell you.
Well, anyway, I do really think Mary, as we've been saying, holds a huge place in the not just disclosure, but the validation of experience, the validation that we exist beyond this time and space. Interviewing, talking to these young kids, which is her work, about their experiences, about remembering the places they've come from and the planets, and validating, like Cesar said, her interest is a validation that there's a truth going on, that we can learn from these kids, and they have a lot to teach us about who we are as multidimensional beings. She has a chapter in my book, Making Contact, where she goes through all of her research, not all, but a specific point where she's talking to a lot of these kids, and they're talking about these multidimensional awarenesses they have. So Mary, I know your work continues. I know you're breaking ground in new areas, and I'm looking forward to hearing actually what are you working on now? Where does your work take you? And how does the new humanity look for you, Mary? Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Alan, for that and your kindness in what you're saying. Well, my work developed into looking at the children simply because I realized that many of these experiences that individuals have often meant that it was a family affair, that it wasn't just, mum or dad, but it was often the children. And that intergenerational link became more and more crucial because the parents were often, when I wrote my book Awakening, it was the parents saying, but I think my child is having experiences as well. And, I'm often fearful for them, worried about them. How do they best help them? All those kind of things really expanded my work into, well, what can I offer to help the parents help the kids? And that was ultimately developed into the book, The New Human. Because what I felt with the children was there were no old programs, no filters, no old belief systems that got in the way of the integrity of their experience. And time again, they blew me away. For example, one young 9-year-old, I was speaking to his father in the States about his experiences, and the young lad said, can I speak to Mary? So I said, well, I'm quite happy to speak to you. Why do you want to speak to me? And he said, well, it's because of your frequency, was how he introduced himself. And I said, oh, okay. And then he proceeded to tell me more about who he was, why he was here, his understanding of his role, his mission, his purpose. And the interesting thing for me was often these children did not have the same concerns or fears that their parents had. And they were very much more in control of how they understood their multidimensional reality. For example, they would quite openly talk to me about some of the experiences. And I always remember one 8-year-old, again, her mother was speaking to me and she said, "I want to tell Mary about what happened a couple of nights ago." And I said, "Well, I'd love to hear what happened a couple of nights ago." And she said, "Well, I was on a spacecraft. They were showing me how to drive it, which star systems to go to. And they took me to a planet where I learned some abilities," she said, like how to levitate, how to use my psychic abilities. And she said, and then they took me to a spacecraft. And there they were showing me how they altered different DNA in different species. So they create new species, which they seed other planets. And again, this is what's really important here for anyone wanting to know how that is. Most of these parents, in fact, I would say all of them, have never front loaded their children about their experiences, never talked about it. This is the child mentioning their experiences. And the only thing is that many of them are quite bewildered in how to respond to their child that's speaking about these things that for them are still very, very confronting. And one of the things that I'm often asked, and I found when I wrote The New Human, I was expecting it to be only something that the weird and the wonderful community, whether it was the New Age or metaphysical community, might read. I certainly didn't expect clinical psychologists to read it and educators to read it and a wide variety of parents to read it, and telling me how they're recognizing these children, no matter where they come from, in terms of what we call mainstream society, and saying, what do we do about someone that's talking about their experiences when they're 6, 7, 8 years old, talking about the fact that they're a hybrid and explaining why they believe they're a hybrid, for example. And, you know, to give you another example of a 7-year-old that explained to me she was a hybrid, she was part blue avian, part human, that she knew that she'd bring in light language for healing and saying, I know how to heal people and I show them how to heal themselves. This is all quite spontaneous. And what gave the children, for me, the power over any kind of dissent in terms of their accounts was this was coming quite spontaneously. Often the child has no conception that that's not okay to talk about it. And I'll give you another example. You may see this picture right behind me here. I remember an 8-year-old coming with his mum into my room and saying, "Oh, I've been there." And he said, "The planet that's on there to the side, it's a bit bigger than that. And I've been through that portal," he said, "to go to other dimensions," and proceeded to tell me that when he goes on board spacecraft, he's connected to the mantis beings. And he said, "They're my family. And when I die, I'm going back to being a mantis." And then described going on board craft, and he called it evaporating into a mantid form for a time. And I said, "How does that feel?" He said, "Well, a bit strange, but it's okay because I have a little mantid that also talks to me." Now, where do you get such incredibly profound information like that when it's an 8-year-old telling you quite spontaneously how they understand themselves? For me, I was just blown away by it. And I couldn't see how anyone could in any way create this as or explain this away other than it has integrity. So when Alan says Mary's listens and open, I have no choice but to do so, because ultimately, how can I in any way disqualify something that's so profound in children that are coming out spontaneously with this? And the biggest issue for the children, which was quite sad to hear when I spoke to this young man about his time where he went on board craft with a couple of school friends and explained that he was being educated on board craft, and explained that there was a group, some of them are human children, some of them are not human. And I said, "How do you know?" And he said, "Well, the ones that aren't human have different shaped eyes," he said, "and they were showing me how to use my mind to create things. And they gave me complex information." So I said to him, "So complex information? I said, can you tell me some of the complex things that you're being taught? And he said, no. He said, because it's too complex for you. And so I was kind of put in my place pretty well there and then. But what was sad for me was the fact that I did say to him, what about your two friends from school that go as well on board craft? And he said, I said, do they remember? Did you ask them if they remember going on board craft? And he got quite cross and he looked at his mum, who was in the room with him. And he said, Mum wouldn't let me. And she explained, well, I was afraid that if they didn't remember, in some way they would see that he's rather strange or unusual, and I didn't want him to have that experience. So the biggest issue for star seeds and the young ones is the fact that we live in a society that denies their experience, a design, and stops them from being open about their experiences. So the one thing that I have always said to the parents is, because they say, how can we help? I said, well, they're getting help from their space family, their star family. I said, but you can help by giving them someone to talk to that listens and honors their experiences, because that will help them ground and help them be part of this new burgeoning awakening of humanity, because they've all come with gifts, they've all come with tools to help us break through the veils, and really they've come as our teachers. So I said, what we can do more than anything is help them understand being human, help them understand how to have a healthy body and healthy life. But ultimately, we're there to listen to them and for them to teach us how to be more of an awake, advanced consciousness on the planet, and to help their role as a mission. There's so many stories I could tell you. I mean, I've written many of them in the book, The New Human. But what I'd like to say is, if you have children, then the most important thing parents say to me, what can I do to help? And I said, just listen. Just listen to their stories, because most of the time they won't be able to speak to anybody else. So for me, that's the most important thing with the new star seeds and what have you. But my main thing I'd like to say is, that's been my job, really, to listen and to hear and to be a place of safety for those that are having experiences, so they can start to honor and validate their own experiences and to become all that they're meant to be.
You found that the different children that you're working with, are they telepathically connecting with each other, kind of like we've heard in the telepathy tapes?
Absolutely. They're recognizing each other and connecting, often through the parents that are also awake and having experiences and whatever. They're also introduced on the craft. Many times they will suddenly meet somebody in the, on planet Earth that they've met actually on the craft. But I've also met those that are walk-ins as well, that have met others like themselves. And I always remember a wonderful lady. She was she said to me, I'm a walk-in. I said, how do you understand that? She said, well, I come from a wonderful craft, a cylindrical craft. I'm 9 feet tall, blue eyes, and we were telepathic. And she said, and we absorbed food through light. But I suddenly found myself in a 3-year-old body, she said, where I had to learn to talk and I had to learn to eat, because I'd never done that before. And she said, and there's a few of me on the planet, she said, but I'm there as a kind of reporter. I go back and report what it's like to be human. And she said, I have met some like myself. Occasionally I've recognized them, and we all sort of know each other. So there's this wonderful connection on another level with many of the star seeds, with their star family. And one of the things that I'll say to people when I'm working with them, usually to take them by surprise, because they'll say, well, I don't know if I've got any connection to any star system or whatever. And I'm saying, but do any of them ever, come to mind when you're thinking of stars? And they'll say, well, Pleiades keeps coming to mind. And I said, well, what do you think that means? What do you think that means? The fact that that's the one star system that keeps coming to mind. So a lot of my work now is helping the adults to remember who they are and to remember that what they've come for and to gain confidence in their skills again, their multidimensional skills, so they can start to trust themselves and become fully multidimensional again so that they're in harmony with their physical selves. So for me, the most important thing with that work is giving people the encouragement to realize that's been with them all along, that it's been suppressed or it's been programmed out, and to remind them it's all there and that's all they actually need to actually be fully human.
Mm. God bless you for the wonderful work you're doing. A lot of wonderful comments in our chat box. And I want to let people know where you can learn more about her. Her website is her name, maryrodwell.com.au, because she is in Australia. maryrodwell.com.au. And is there anything you'd like to make sure that our audience knows in terms of your offerings as we look at your website here?
Well, I do hypnosis as well to help people recover missing memories and whatever. So my work primarily is helping people to connect the dots to their own mysteries in their life and to gain confidence in their multidimensional abilities, to realize the best guru they can have is themselves, and to start trusting their own truth and their own resonance to truth. That you can have as many gurus as you like out there, but no one knows you better than you. And if I can help you trust in that part of yourself again, then my work's done.
Beautiful. And you do work with people by Zoom, yes?
Yes, absolutely. Hypnosis and all altered states can be done extremely well over Zoom. It doesn't matter where in the world you are, as long as you can speak English.
Fantastic. Neil, anything you'd like to add or share?
Yeah, there's a few things that stood up from what you're saying that I just like really resonate with. That, we often say that now is the time of the self-guru, not the age of there was a time for gurus to come down when the frequency was at, well, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, when the frequency was at a level that we needed teachers to come in. So as you're saying this, I'm realizing even more, we can say that it's the time of the self-guru, but you're actually assisting the children coming in before the indoctrination is put on them, saying that they need someone to follow, right? And the another component was when you said that thing about the star system, um, and that person saying, well, I feel connected to the Pleiades. Our subconscious mind is continuously leaking real information, right? And then there's one question I have for you now. They often say to us, oh, you're imagining that. Oh, it's just your imagination. But these children have such strong imaginations. So what's your take on the imagination being a window to a greater truth?
The way that I help those individuals that are opening up multidimensionally, their clairvoyance, their clairaudience, their clairsentience, their sensing, knowing, intuition, and what have you, they're still concerned, even when they get downloads, where is it coming from? Can I trust it? Is it real or is it my imagination? I said, and actually, multidimensional information is instant. You don't have a chance to think it, it's already there. Whereas when you actually create something, you've got to think it to create it. Therefore, that's a very distinct difference. In other words, if you think of your bedroom, you know right away where your bed is, where your window is, where your door is, because it's real. If I said create or imagine a bedroom, you'd have to think to create it. You'd have to think, well, how big would the room be? Where would I put the window? Where would I put the bed? Where would I put the door? It's a completely different process. So instant information is coming either from your multidimensional superconscious higher self or another intelligence, your guide, your guardian angel, whatever name you want to give to that other source, or your ET connections. It'll be instant before thought. And once you've got a handle on that, you can't mistake it because it's coming in without you even knowing often what it is that you're going to bring through, as anyone who channels knows. So it's actually very easy. It's just helping people to know the difference. With left brain, you think before you speak. Right brain, you speak before you think. And once you get a handle on that, you've got it. It's as simple as that.
It's a deep level of trusting yourself, right? Because 'cause that's the whole thing. I've had hypnosis sessions, and the first couple sessions, I would doubt myself, And then it got to a point where I trained myself to trust what came in immediately. Because if you start doubting yourself, then you start to think like, am I seeing myself in Orion? Like, is this what's going on? And then other components come in there.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
call,
it's a deep healing that you need to do to trust yourself on that level.
it's stopping the left brain interfering and coloring the information, which is what we often want to do because we want to somehow alter it. The main thing is to trust it is coming in with integrity as a frequency and not to get in the way of it, as anyone who channels knows.
Yeah, yep. That's a life lesson there. Goes across the board beyond hypnosis, right?
Yes.
Mary, thank you so much. You're amazing. I always love every time we do an event, I say the same thing. I just love having you on and just seeing the updates just continuously unfolding. And you've worked with over 3,000 children, is that right? Since now?
Well, families and children, the
Families and children.
yes.
That's incredible. Yeah. Thank
Thank,
you for being here, Mary.
thank you, Mary.
Thank
I'd love to have you on again. Really wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Neil, we're going to have another song from our dear Nina Gray.
Thank
Boy,
you.
don't you wish that when we were children, we would have somebody like Mary to help us remember where we came from and all that? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Oh, the guides, the hands to light the way. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment and your dedication to these star beings and star seeds. Yeah, this has been the first year where I've shifted from artistry to a artist in residency program in a nonprofit working with a foster teen youth population, and often the crucibles that they have experienced open them up to so many dimensions of consciousness through that contrasting experience very young. And it is such a joy and an awe-inspiring experience to see how lit up they are, and how easily they take to new information and expression of their consciousness, their life force, and just they exist as pillars of reminders that this modality of like trauma survivor can also be flipped into like a thriving modality as that aspect of existence that breaks you open to your gifts. And I see that demonstrated through them so often, and I am humbled by it. And so I look forward to learning more of all of the beautiful ways that you're working with children, Mary, and thank you for your service.
Well,
Neil,
thank you
thank you
for the
for
work you're doing, Nina. What's the
yeah.
age range of the foster children that you're working with?
12 to 19, and it's a residential treatment facility, so there's a lot of modalities of support on site, and the organization Child Center, the nonprofit here in New York, they deeply believe in the transformative power of creative arts and art therapy as channels, vehicles for expression and healing. And I love that they are so willing to pour into that aspect of self-actualization through art therapy and expression. And I'm really grateful to play in that space with the kids. And I know I learn a lot more from them than they get from me, but I love the space that we get to create. And and in spaces of creation, Neil, you shared a poem derived from a song, and I have a song that was inspired by a poem that everyone on this in this space has probably heard before. The Rumi, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Where the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense. And this song is called I'll Meet You There. Way out past the sidewalk's end, in these city limits, beyond the neon skies, beyond these high tides, out beyond the flower ridge, where we play as children, past the carnival lights, in midnight air, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. Is my voice still low, or can you hear it?
You sound perfect.
Way out past the rolling creek, in these busy city streets, beyond walls and ceilings, beyond words and their meanings, past stories of old and lands discovered, past valleys and galaxies, science and numbers, beyond the yellow brick road, beyond Atlantis, past fields of gold in every planet, past these satellites, beyond the rainbow, past everything we think we know. I'll meet you there. Thank you. Thank
You know,
you.
that song, I'm so glad that you've done that. And I'm actually going to have Connie make an edit just of that because as a love coach, I almost always, especially when people are in conflict, bring up that Rumi poem because that is, as a coach, that's my job, is to bring us into that field outside the ideas of good and bad and right and wrong and into just really connecting. So that you've made a song is amazing. So that song is going to
See
get a
the
lot.
link.
Yeah, I will definitely send you the link. Thank you so much, Nina. We love you.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
I did
you
find
for
your
bringing
YouTube
us
channel.
there.
So before you, here's the YouTube channel. It's easy. Just go to YouTube. Oh no, that's the trailer we're gonna play. Hold on. I do.
Whoa, that's cool. My YouTube got an upgrade.
YouTube's looking good. No, actually, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again. Scott shows the YouTube channel. Take two. There it is. Just go to YouTube, everybody, and put in Nina Gray, Grae, and there's all sorts of wonderful, wonderful songs here, wonderful videos, a lot of really beautiful, beautiful things. And I'm actually, there's things I've never seen here before. I want to have. I'm going to check this out after the show's over. Your space. Oh, God, that looks good to me. So thank you, Nina. You're so generous in your offerings. You really are. And those young people, believe me, they are very, very blessed. You're changing their lives. To have someone as beautiful as you are, to show interest in them, to show care, to support them, to find their talents and to express themselves, that's life-changing. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. To anyone who works with kids, you know that they give you so much. So I couldn't say that I'm here just giving to them. I receive so much, and I receive so much from being in this space that you create, Scott. So I will sing it to the moon and beyond the outer limits of all galaxies. Thank you for being who you are and bringing us together in beautiful spaces where we can exist beyond, 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 beyond.
My pleasure, and hopefully you'll come visit us again in 2026.
I'll be here.
All right.
I'll be here.
I love you.
I love you.
Neil, we have one more presenter, and you get to introduce her.
I do. I was just like basking in that love bubble right there. It's just so much, so much beautiful love, man. I feel it.
You
The
know,
empathy,
the
compassion,
show
everything.
has the show's really become that, Neil.
It has. Yeah.
You know, I think because we've been doing this for so long, we have such a beautiful family of presenters and such a beautiful family of audience. And almost every show now just is, it's an experience of love.
Yeah.
You know, it is, I so look forward to my Wednesday and Saturday nights.
Well, it's the community that you brought together. This is a solid community online, people all over the world that get to interact. And the variety show, just the structure of this event just allows for so many people's talents to be showcased, right? And then you're transmitting the love and connection. It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that you've been doing this for years, every time I'm on, even though it's been a year and a half, I just have to give you props for just what you've created here and how you just keep on showing up, brother. It's beautiful.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you,
You
Scott.
too. I'm your
Mhm.
sacred mirror. After Maria, I'm really excited about sharing with the audience the big news about New Living Expo. But let's meet
Yes.
Maria, and then we'll go to New Living Expo.
All right. So everybody, I'm excited to introduce Maria because Maria I met in where was it? It was in Mexico City around
Mexico.
3 years ago. And we were at a conference there. And just recently, just around 4 or 5 months ago, we reconnected. And she's also come on a deep, deep level in Portal to Ascension sponsorship. She's going to be featured on a lot of events. And this is just the beginning, really. I think we've just done one thing so far, and this is the second one. And there's a lot more to come. She's going to be at our expo as well. And she is just a multidimensional visionary, a cosmic weaver, a healer. We have a mutual friend called Debbie Dashinger, and Debbie was telling me the other day, Maria, how she received a healing session from you recently, right? And she was just telling me it was the most powerful healing session that she's ever experienced in her life. And you know that
Thank
she
you.
has experienced a lot of sessions. So I'm going to do your official bio. I want to introduce everyone to you. So Maria Martinez, multidimensional visionary, cosmic weaver, quantum alchemist who life bridges realities far beyond the ordinary. Born with ancient inner knowing, she has traversed dimensions and timelines since childhood. Guided by angels, ascended masters, celestial allies, Maria has walked aboard extraterrestrial starships, spoken face to face with beings from distant galaxies, and collaborated with intergalactic councils, including the Galactic Federation, the Order of Mary Magdalene, and the Order of the Melchizedek. As a psychic medium and interdimensional channel, she transmits light language, cosmic tones, and healing frequencies that ignite the soul transformation and awaken divine sovereignty. She's uniquely gifted in perceiving and repairing distortions in the human energy field, clearing interference connected to draconian, reptilian, archon, Anunnaki, and other multidimensional forces, working alongside luminous collective of plasmic beings. Sought out by extraterrestrial races for her guidance and recruited for cosmic missions, Maria serves as a living bridge between the seen and unseen, inviting humanity to remember its multidimensional origins and step into the extraordinary truth of who we are. Maria, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure, and such a pleasure to be in this beautiful community with everyone. Um, I just felt into everything that everyone shared, and it just brought many memories of sitting at the table together in other galaxies. So thank you for having me.
Yes. So I feel like the theme, we didn't really come up with the theme before we started this event, but the theme has been interdimensionals, ETs, and ascension. So I'd love for you just to take it from here and just like take us into those realms of like what is the connection between ascension and our interdimensional nature.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm just going to share a little bit more of, what everybody else has shared on that topic. The ascension is the awakening, is that higher consciousness, is the activation of who we are that is already happening, across humanity. And it's happening as humanity is stepping into that place of sovereignty, as well as other interdimensional beings that are coming in to facilitate that. Actuarians and Andromedan beings, hybrids, Lyran, and that are coming in and stepping more into our awakening and facilitating and also guiding, as well as taking us aboard ships and other journeys for us to remember our divine technology. And as we do that, that is the ascension. That is us stepping into the higher Christic, being that we are, and unlocking the codex that is already within ourselves. And in doing so, we are, radiant, brilliant light, or we're the radiance of that awakening and that consciousness for those that are coming in, those that are ready to, and those that are, at that level that are ready to step into the next level. Um, you know, um, I work with the beings, luminous beings of light, who are guardians, architects, blueprinters, protectors, who are, in the corridors holding the light and guiding, protecting humanity. And I work with humanity to free them or allow them or facilitate them stepping into more of their freedom, liberation, sovereignty, their free will. And in doing so, that's how we're bridging the consciousness of the true self and who we came here to be, and everything that we are and everything that's available to us, including that knowing, and bridging that gap to the higher aspects of ourself, and continuing and even accelerating the ascension, or our own ascension and ascension for humanity and for Mother Earth. And as we're participating in this, what's happening is that in that acceleration and more starseeds coming in, we are also facilitating the knowing. So less of that victimization, less of the karma, less of the cycle of reincarnation, which is very powerful. And the more we say yes, the more we embody, the more we transcend, life gets easier. Yeah. So we are here to know who we are. We're here to activate the deepness and technology and everything that we are as a crystal being. But we're also here to manifest our divine light as contributors, as influencers, and to live a fulfilled life. So part of also what is being highlighted is that, yes, we are ascending in this area and we're accessing all of that. And that's accelerating. But what's also accelerating is our level of manifestation, our level of fulfillment, our level of contribution, our level of impact, our level of joy, our level of happiness, which again revamps or creates that powerful movement to continue, accelerates the powerful movement to continue in that acceleration of ascension, and also accelerates the consciousness and releasing any veil or what's left of that veil for the rest of humanity. So it's, this work that we're all doing is very beautiful and very powerful. And there is more flow, and we can move into that expectancy and certainty of that flow that is. And it's also like a catalyst and activation for what's next, meaning that some of us feel like the subtle upgrades and the subtle shifts that we're moving through very deeply because we're very sensitive, and some of us just feel like kind of little bumps in the road. But it's happening. It's happening that we're moving through this field. We're moving through the multidimensional fields, and we're collapsing what no longer serves us. We're collapsing what's pain and what's suffering, and we're moving into a state where we're no longer going to have to go and retrieve what's in the darkness, because we're going to move, or we're going to expand our light into releasing that and healing that from the now, instead of having to go into the darkness to release any entanglement and attachment with it, so that we can continue to be in the light and create life easy, create our ascension being easy, create the contact being easy. Moving into that certainty and moving into the awareness, moving to that expectancy of I am, and I am that supernatural being that I am. I am the divine being that I am. I am the core star, the central sun. I am the eternal flame. I am the infinite oneness of who I am. And that is already happening. So, celebration for everybody, celebration and deep gratitude for everybody that is holding that space and already stepping into that and is holding that light for everybody else.
Beautiful. You're sharing about karma and reincarnation and darkness. I would love for you to just go deeper into that. What is the darkness? How does it connect to our karma? Because it seems like that there's some overlap there in regards to karma coming back and maybe going into a world of amnesia and having to confront the darkness. And how do we move from that and get into a place where we can? I think you said something about taking the experiences out of the now moment rather than having to delve into the karma and delving into that darkness.
Yeah. So we are here now, right? And in this moment of now, we can choose to complete. We can choose to hold the light. We can embody and move into the divine I am. And as we hold that divine I am, we're creating that awakening. And as we create that awakening, we're actually opening up those fields, those timelines where it is the opposite of that, where it's the darkness, where it's in darkness is where we're still suffering, where we're still in lack, where we're still in scarcity, or where we're being victimized or playing the victim, or where something else, there's an interference that is holding us there. The more we hold that I am, the more we're retrieving, restoring back those fragments of our light that have been lost. And what I said earlier about just choosing it and then holding the light instead of having to go back. And this is also different for me because I my earlier work, especially during my childhood years, because I was born awake and I started spirit retrieval, soul retrieval at the age of 5 or 6. So was going into the deep dimensions, lower dimensions, and restoring spirit fragments. So that has also evolved for me. So the work that I do now, instead of feeling like I need to retrieve that part of myself in order to heal that part of myself, we hold it in the now. As the luminous being that we are, we hold it as the highest version of ourselves. And we connect to that instead of having to go or feeling like I need to get this in order to be whole. We hold the wholeness and we hold the completeness now. And we shine a different light, or we shine the light from here instead of going to retrieve it. Because what happens a lot is I need to get that part, I need to retrieve that part. We stay in that cycle of I need to fix that, or I need to get that, or I need. So we release that attachment, and we release the attachment, then whatever is holding us there, which a lot of times are the entities, demonic beings, they have no more thing or energy or emotion or thought form that they can attach to.
Wow.
Because we're moving that into completion.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting what you're saying right now. It resonates so deeply because, for so long I've done soul retrievals. I've read books about how different avatars like Yeshua and Buddha came in with more fragments of their soul, therefore they had more awareness. And then on some level, one day I was thinking like I'm just going through loops here because I'm just always looking for to retrieve something. But if everything is all frequency in God and consciousness at the same time, technically we're all whole all the time.
Yes.
But we have like a virtual reality video game, for lack of a better term, where we've created a program that looks like we have to go and achieve things, not realizing we're the code, you know?
Yes.
So it's like, so that's what the movement is right now, is right. So it's so
Yes.
beautifully said. So we're moving into that. So how can we shift our perception from that outdated system of like always needing something else to knowing that?
Yeah. Well, one of the things is first to realize, right? Once you say yes, and then you realize this is what's happening, and this is what I was choosing, and this is what I believe in, then, so I'll step back a little bit. The way I work, and the way I see everybody is as a multidimensional being. So we work the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and I see the soul and spirit separately because of the work that I've done since I was a child. So we engage all of those parts. So we connect to all of these parts, and locate where this thought form is, where this energy is, where the attachment is, where the belief system is, where the emotional wound is across the bodies. And once we can locate them, and then we can shift the light, the frequency within them, it begins to dissolve, and all these bodies, they remember. They remember I am a luminous being of light. I am the I am the core star. I am the infinite essence of who I am. And if we can continue to hold it, and we can catch more fragments of that were there, we've been here many lifetimes. So there's many parts of that, but instead of always being in search and discovery, then we call them to here and the now. We call them to here and the now, and then we keep moving forward instead of going back and then bringing them here. And as we look at the energetic body, as we look at the soul body, as we look at the spiritual body, as we look at the mental body, and we can identify this is where the fragments are. And ways of identifying that, because you asked me about karma. Karma, is any level of trauma or any level of story that we're holding in our field. So what is playing out now? So if I were to live my most fulfilled life right now, what would that look like? And then we look at that and we look at where we are and we look at what's the disparity, what's the separation, and we can identify what we're still playing out with that level of trauma or that level of belief system or that level of story that we're playing out. And then that's where we shine the light. That's where we bring in the wholeness and the completeness. That's where we shift that into the I am in this momentum now and bring in that higher frequency of who we are to begin to dissolve those old crystals that are there.
So you're saying that you look at where they are and where they want to be in the wholeness and what the disparity is between those two things in order to bring light into that. Is that what you're saying? That helps someone become the I am whole and complete now, rather than I need to pull in aspects in order to become whole?
Yeah. So you look at your highest desire or your highest vision, and then you embody that. So when let's say that your part of your vision is to step into the highest version of you and access certain technologies to create a certain level of impact that maybe you feel like you're not quite getting that. And you look at, well, how do I embody that aspect of myself? And this is where I am. And you look at the disparity. Maybe the disparity is I still have to work harder, or I still have to get more teaching, or I still have to do more sessions with somebody, or I have to wait a certain number of years, or I have this old wound in myself that doesn't allow me to believe in myself, or the story is that it takes a certain number of years. So those are just examples, but we look at where these distortions are that are creating this disparity, and then we can collapse them because we can choose. One of our biggest superpowers is choice. I can choose to be in the moment of now as my highest version of myself and embody. And then the second part, and the key, is to embody that higher version of yourself and that higher reality, because that'll begin to move you into that place. So instead of trying to get there, you also bring that to the now, and you move into that alignment in the moment of now. So that in itself will begin to collapse certain things. Other things you may need to spend a little bit more time or just tune into a little deeper into where the layers are. And then you move those into the now as well, into the highest version of you.
You shared earlier about you see the soul and spirit separately. Can you speak about that?
Yes. So when I work with individuals, and this started very early on in my childhood, the spirit, it travels anywhere, can go anywhere. And many times, because they're intertwined. When we don't love ourselves, when we don't accept ourselves, when we don't believe in ourselves, when we don't trust ourselves, when we're still moving to the trauma, the spirit can get trapped in places because it starts to diminish its light because it's so connected to our belief systems. Although there's a remembrance, part of the work that I was doing when I was younger, well, I still do this now, but this is how it started, is that I would find those parts of the spirit that were in other dimensions or timelines. And then the how we retrieved it was awakening the spirit to its infinite self. So helping it connect back to its core star or its light star and helping it remember that it is infinite. And there was a process to that. Otherwise, we wouldn't get trapped in different places, right? So there's something happening with the spirit in that separation, or in the separation of the wholeness, in the misalignment, that allows it to get trapped in places or to get stuck in places. So I discovered how to work with the spirit in that way. And the soul, what I discovered, that it was more connected to the physical self, so if you can imagine, your home, your temple, the light on is your soul in the house. It doesn't really leave. Once it leaves, there's no light. It's what keeps the lights on. And because I do a lot of health work or energy medicine around health, I work with the soul as well in their connection with spirit. So first separate and then together, reintegrate them together. So the soul can become dim if the spirit is not there. And again, the spirit can go in and out, but if it gets distracted or if it stays out or if there's some trauma involved, it doesn't often come back right away. And then it doesn't come back. It's still connected. So this is part of, the retreat work that I do, and finding it in all parts of it, and then bringing it back. And then once it's connected, or once we awaken it, and once we connect it to the light, then we can awaken the soul and then reconnect the soul and spirit for that individual, and then bring it back to the body. And that's an immediate shift that you see in the person, from low vitality, aches and pains, to just like surviving in their body. The other thing that I notice is that when spirit is not in the body,
Yeah.
other things are in the body, especially if it hasn't been there. There's other occupants, there's other entities attached, lots of implants. Basically, the house has squatters. So we clear all of that up. We connect the spirit back to the soul. The soul, lights up again, and now they cultivate the relationship. So part of the healing is also the person cultivating the relationship with self, spirit, soul.
So let me see if I can summarize this a little bit. So you're saying that the soul is in the body, it's in the house, the spirit transcends realities and dimensions, and then a lot of times we have disconnect between the soul and the spirit, and without that connection, then we have the potential for other types of energies and entities to kind of hijack our consciousness, right? And
Yes.
what your work does is you bring back the interdimensional spirit into the house of the now moment with our soul. Is that right?
Yes. And so the soul is alive, the body. So just to clarify that, and this,
Yeah.
yes, exactly what you said. So when we reintegrate, so when we build that connection again, and when we cultivate the relationship with self, we're cultivating with the divine essence, which is now the merging of the soul and spirit. The divine essence is the merging of the soul and spirit, and the awakened soul and spirit connection. And that begins to eliminate and create the vitality in the body, as well as fortify sort of the field that doesn't allow, or that will prevent or reduce the attachments, because we're more present, our light is vibrant, we're occupying the house, we're occupying the mind, the center of the head, we're occupying the heart, the power center, we're living in the house, we're fully taking ownership of the house, the temple.
Would you say like a lot of our belief systems, whether it's lack mentality, lack of self-worth, self-hatred or whatever, are based on these attachments or on this disconnection of the soul? And then when we have the spirit and the soul reconnected, then we just have a greater understanding of who we are?
I would say there's a high percentage of our suffering, a high percentage of our disconnect, a high percentage of us not living our life is connected to interferences. And they're multidimensional interferences that, they're in the body, they're in these dimensions, but then they're also in the higher aspects of ourselves, or could be in the higher aspects of ourselves, or creating the separation from us connecting to, our actualized Arcturian or Andromedan essence of who we are, or other beings. So they create that separation and almost cut off that consciousness, or access to higher consciousness.
So how do we go about doing this then, this connection? Like I know you do this modality. Are there tools and techniques that we can utilize to clear at these attachments? And are there even moments where we just have a disconnect but we don't have attachments? Like what is the process of reconnection?
Yeah, so that's a great question, because we're all here and we're all moving in this movement of ascension and higher consciousness. Well, the first thing that I want to say is that there hasn't been one person that have come across that doesn't have an attachment. All of us have some level of attachment because we've been recycled into the reincarnation. We've lived many lives, and we had different levels of trauma. And sometimes that trauma is plugged into or connected to other beings. So with that said, how do we prevent less of that? One is what we're doing here now is stepping into our I am, stepping into our authority, stepping into our sovereignty, stepping into our power, and exercising our free will and power of choice to be that higher presence, to be that brilliance of who we are, and also being of service to others. So the more, the higher the frequency and the more we shine our light, the less attachments that will interfere. However, for some of the light workers, there are, and especially if you're sensitive, you may feel some of the interferences because you're sensitive, and some of the light workers, you may feel the interferences because of the work that you're doing. They're preventing you or wanting to prevent you from really expressing yourself fully as that Christic being that you are. So will they go away completely? What I like to say about that is that the more you become aware and the higher the frequency you hold, the less of that is around your field. And the more aware you are, and the more you hold the self-actualization of mind, body, spirit, the less they attach, because they attach lower vibration and lower emotional states.
So say that last part again. The more we hold the intention of what? Mind, body, and spirit?
Yes. So the more we align in mind, body, and spirit, the more we hold that frequency of sovereignty, and we are holding, higher vibrations and constantly evolving or elevating our vibration, the less they interfere, because we are in an alignment. We are not holding like pain and suffering or depression or hatred or self-loathing. Those are the things that open doors or create sort of portals for things to come in. If we are in joy and happiness, if we are in peace and love, we are holding a high vibration, and we are shining it out to others. So we are shining it to others, and they're able to step into or awaken into that higher vibration. And we, in holding joy, happiness, we're also sort of creating that boundary around us.
So to get practical with it even more, because everything you're saying is actually very grounded and practical, which I love. But you said alignment, mind, body, and spirit. So would that be literally taking care of your mind, meditating, doing things to calm yourself, taking care of your body, exercising, going for a walk, and then giving your soul the things that it needs, right? When you start giving the things that you really need on all those levels, then you're able to emanate that love frequency.
Absolutely. And I think the mind plays a big role, because the mind also directly connects to the vibration that you're holding and the frequency. The thoughts that you're holding or the thoughts that you're entertaining are very important. So catching yourself, 'cause you can meditate, and then if you step out the meditation and then you get triggered or you get into an argument, you kind of cancel that out. We want to be mindful of what we're choosing to hold in our mind, the thought that we're choosing to hold, because that thought will become. So this is about being, right? Being the light, being the radiance, being the brilliance, being the higher consciousness, being the higher frequency of joy, love, happiness, prosperity, wealth, abundance, fulfillment, having it all. So the thought if you hold powerful thoughts of infinite possibility, infinite joy, that will make it easier for you to be that in your heart. And especially if you're using the other techniques of meditation or practices of meditation, of mindfulness, taking time for yourself, and being of service to others.
Is there, and well, I guess we'll close out after this one here, but out of all the tools, right, all the types of meditations, with this modality in specific, in order to bring our souls and spirits together, are there certain types of things that we should do? Is it breath work, sitting for 5 minutes and doing a specific type of meditation? Or does it all pretty much lead to the same thing? Or are there some that actually are probably more potent?
I feel like they can all lead you to the same thing, with the intention of reconnection, holding the light in the center of the head, seeing yourself as the light, emanating the light throughout, holding the light in the heart space, especially in the high heart, and seeing that vibrating out, holding the light in your power center, because you're connecting your connection to source. You're connecting to your soul, the seat of your soul. You're connecting to the seat of your spirit in your power center, and moving that through your whole body, and then expanding that beyond your body. And as you do that, then being there in that stillness, seeing yourself first, bringing it in intentionally, experiencing it as it expands through your field, and then holding it as you are. So that is I am. And as you hold it, and if you hold it for 5 minutes the first time, and then for 10 minutes, so it becomes your natural state of being. I am the radiance. I am, the frequency of who I am. I am the eternal flame. So as you hold that, And the longer you hold that, whether you start by meditating, but you start through breath work, however you start, but holding the light within yourself as your truth, as your certainty, as the expression of who you are, as your natural state. That elevates, and I can already feel some of you like clicking into that and feeling that expansion and elevating through that. So that's already clicking in for all of you. It's a very easy practice that you can do, but any practice done long enough, especially in the I am, in the beingness, becomes your natural state. And then there you are. And then from as you continue the practice, you hold the frequency. The next time the frequency is higher, the next time the frequency is higher, and you're constantly elevating yourself. And what that's also doing is also expanding your state of consciousness, giving you access to more and more, opening up your channel, helping you connect to the higher beings. And in that practice as well, everything else that is not the light is dissolving around you.
Yeah, I love that. And as your truth is, as your certainty, I meditate every morning and I do like 5-minute meditations and just really internal. And I focus really on relaxing my nervous system and my mind. But you just given me a whole other component is like when I'm done, hold the light within, use my imagination in order to push it out in the world. And just by you saying that and me imagining it, I already feel the shift.
Beautiful.
So thank you for sharing that. And before Scott comes on, I think we're going to share your website. Are you open to doing a 2-minute visualization for us where we can do that
Yeah,
together? That'll be
absolutely. We
awesome.
can do that practice. Should we do the practice first, really quick? Yeah, okay, beautiful. Oh, I love this. Thank you for allowing me to do this. So let's go ahead and take a deep breath and we'll close your eyes. And as we close your eyes, we want to expand our awareness. So we want to go beyond the physical body, elevate above and beyond. Now we want to come into the center of the head and find the light in the center of the head. Okay, I'm just gonna light language is coming in, so I'm just gonna share with you. Anasiti ikara tetsemeneye ikayana na usoho. Shahukama nika ita eke seteti shema uno yoto kurusoho kama anayo oko. But then take one more deep breath. Just feel yourself in that center. Find the light. Move into the light. And as if you were under a spotlight. You may even want to look up through the light and just see what you see, experience what you experience, know what you know. Whatever it looks like, it's perfect for you. Go ahead and take one more deep breath. Masitana it arate sehiko mashoka itayoko ukatsitene shehi ikayenese umashi inaya oka. Go ahead and bring yourself into the high heart. Finding the light, settling into the light. Nasita rete kesehete kajama una yutu ukayo siti. And feel the light expanding throughout your heart space, shining brightly through the front and the back. Kyatsana nashia masete yinakara tatsara ukayoko ukasenegete. Beautiful. You may start experience yourself as the luminous being of light that you are. Take one more deep breath. Bring your awareness, your attention to the power center and notice the pulsing light already there, waiting, expanding. And see it expand through the front, through the back. Yapuna hana niaka ika nikite seheti ukashuaha ka atsene yeshi ukamesete shitaranatsa ukayo. Now take a deep breath. We're going to begin to expand the light. Bring your awareness to your sacral area. Finding the light there, the divine feminine, the divine masculine, yakatsa, your creative nature, apitse, nike ik ayoko, utsana mauta. Mauta kati ikineye ik at sahuna satate ishahati. One more deep breath. And just notice the light moving down to the root chakra. Going back to the center of the head, notice the light extending up through your channel to source. And for some of you, as soon as you intended, it just went very fast and expanded very wide. Now go ahead and bring the light from the center of the head through the throat, clearing the throat chakra, amplifying the throat chakra, bringing light to your word, the power of your word, creating, speaking creation into being, and bring it down to your heart space. Now, eti kaha tiama ushaha ne ete kesehe. From the heart space down to your power center, and from your power center down to the sacral, and from the sacral down to the root, and from the root all the way down, connecting to the core, crystalline core of Mother Earth. One more deep breath. Astahan hani ya ikahatsita imashohu kahanaya oratsete iya. Unesara makaharati ojo turuma anti ikashi eo o maharati akotsarete shehereke. Go ahead and take one more deep breath and feel the expansion of the light moving through your field all the way out, expanding through your arms all the way through the tip of your arms and all the way out, expanding, expanding. 3 feet out, 4 feet out, 5 feet out. Anesi it akahata sohoroma hana shiati ikayo. O ti mehaa. Some of you are already experiencing activation. You may even see the crystalline. They look like snowflakes, but they're blue, light blue color. Some of them are a beautiful diamond color. Nasitarata saharaka umashuka ekasha ashara. Ashara marata tarama ak asutine shehete ke isha mausu uka asena yete it asaharako. Go ahead and take one more deep breath and just hold that. Feel yourself in that stillness as if you were floating. Feel yourself in that surrender. Feel yourself in the field. Feel yourself in that expansion. Feel yourself amplified. Some of you may feel energy running up and down your spine. Releasing the tailbone. So they're unlocking some of the codes that are in the tailbone. So we're expanding that alignment. We're solidifying that alignment. Asina shahara nika atsati shuhuru kutsamahana yatirat saranaya. Awakening every part of you. Spirit, soul. Elevating the mental consciousness. Elevating your emotions. Nasita nanasa arakatsaraka. Into omni-love. Divine peace, loving kindness, Christ consciousness. Ya oka harati isha homa sati taranatsa ika haratatara tutsuru koshireka haatsa. Some of you may feel a blast of light through the front and the back of the heart space. Nika atsi ita no shohodoko matuaka. One more deep breath, and let's just hold that. Lots of central suns, beautiful. Lots of Elohim, your expression is coming through. Yoko saha, the light star, naduakatira shuru ma'anati ikayo. One more deep breath. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. You can choose to stay there and hold it as long as you like. So I hear the calibration happening with many of you as the codes are being recalibrated. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It is done. It is done. It is done. So be it. Namaste. Wonderful. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Maria.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.
What a joy to meet you, Maria. Of course, it's your first time on our show, and I certainly would love you to come back. People are really enjoying
Thank you. It would be my pleasure to come back. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we can learn more about her by going to her website, 360prosperity.com. And there's a lot going on here. It's a very, very abundant website, as one would expect, since it's all about abundance. And is there an offering or a product or service you want to make sure that we let our audience know about?
Yes. Yes, thank you. So, in a conversation with Neil, I mentioned the bridge is having it all, right? Being your supernatural self, accessing your technology, and manifesting your life. So the areas are wealth, health, and your activation as a divine being. So if you have any questions about that, you can go into, let's say, it's if you go to products and services,
Mhm.
and actually, I think when you were scrolling down, it said something like book a call with me.
Okay.
In the individual calls, if you keep going down, if you keep scrolling here, you'll find different ways of connecting with me if you want to just grab a package here.
Okay.
Or if you want to go schedule a session. This is a discovery session, meaning that if you don't know what the next step for you is, or if you have a question about something, you can set up it's a 15-minute discovery call, energetic call, spiritual call, where we can look at what is next, what is blocking you, what's interfering with you, what is the next level of activation and self-actualization that we can move you into. And those are 15 minutes and they're free. So that's, yeah, if you happy to answer any questions, help you with what's next. And so that would be the best way to, to step in and see what we can do together.
I'm putting free discovery call with Maria into the chat box for our Zoom roomers. And I'm appreciating that we still have 55 of you with us, even though the show is already about an hour later than usual. So thank you, everybody, for staying with us. What a deep and wonderful show it's been. And there's something really, really important that I want us to share. And that is, for as long as we've been doing this show, we've always come to you every May from the New Living Expo. And I've been working with the former owner, Kenny Kaufman. When we first started doing Saturday Night Live, Neil, you might remember that Kenny was one of our co-hosts. It was Deborah, myself, and Kenny. So we love Ken, we love the New Living Expo, and something very special is happening. And so do you want to play the trailer and then have you talk? Or have you talk and then I play
I'll
the trailer?
talk first. I'll talk first. I'm bursting out of myself with excitement because it's all full circle, And as soon as I got acquired the New Living Expo, you're the first person I thought of because I knew that you have a connection to the Bay Area, you have a connection to the Expo. I just realized that this just gives us an opportunity to work even closer. But guys, the story goes that I like to give the whole story. The let's go back to the 60s and the 70s in the Bay Area, the hippie movement, the psychedelic movement. Out of that came a magazine called the Whole Life magazine, which eventually then birthed the Whole Life Expo, I believe 1982, 1983. And that expo was kind of like the first spiritual expo in the US on the level of what, eventually evolved into. And Ken Kaufman, who became the owner of that expo, ended up shifting the name, selling that expo, but it never actually continued. So he shifted the name and recreated it, kind of birthed a new expo called the New Living Expo in 2001. And that expo has been going strong for 23 years. And when Portal to Ascension was just a twinkle in the eye many years ago, I would go around selling Tibet. So the story I gave in the beginning when I was traveling around, I didn't mention that I would have around 100 Tibetan bowls in my car that my cousin from India would be sending me. And so I would, like busking, but instead of busking like with music, I'll be busking with Tibetan bowls and sell them at random fairs. And so New Living Expo around 10 years ago, 10 to 7 years ago, was the place I would go to sell my Tibetan bowls. And it actually gave me the seed money to do everything I did for Portal to Ascension, that and Conscious Life. And I really felt a really good connection to Ken. So Ken, the past owner. So then I go to New Living Expo as a speaker back in May of this year. And I'm speaking there and walking out, and Deborah Giusti, who you guys probably know very well, I'm walking her to a car because she lives in Marin County. And then she goes to me, "Hey, did you know that Ken is selling the expo?" I'm like, "What? I want to buy it." And I was kind of joking at that moment. I really didn't really mean it like that. I was just like, "Wow, I wonder how much he's selling it for." And then I just gave Ken a call. We started having a conversation, going back and forth for a few months, and figured out all the details. And now Portal to Ascension has acquired and purchased the New Living Expo. And I'm just so beyond excited for this because we've continuously been evolving. Every year we expand. And I really love the history and the legacy of this expo and being able to take it into the future. I have a lot of ideas for collaboration and bringing other platforms and organizations together in order to really create something beautiful. I also am really much into technology and future technology. And so we are going to be literally blueprinting what the new dimension of consciousness expos is in regards to production, technology, the people, including a lot of people that have become sensations and huge over the last few years that haven't really spoke at conferences. So bringing in a lot of new energy and just moving it into this new world. And normally Ken has around 1,500 to 2,000 something people there. We're aiming for 3,000 people this year, 125 exhibitors, and we're gonna have over 90 speakers and probably around 111 speakers altogether. 8 rooms in San Rafael, California. It's going to be the biggest production we've ever done. I kid you not when I say I've been working 13 to 14 hours a day for the last 3 weeks, every single day on this expo. And I had like one day off. And I'm just so passionate, excited. We have a we have an epic team that's come together to do this. And we're all just putting in all of our love and energy. And the cool thing is that since I've done so many different types of events, a lot of what I've learned, it feel like it's been preparing me for this moment. And we spoke about contact today. I feel like in the next couple of years, everyone's going to know a lot, not alone in the universe. So being able to create epic gatherings in beautiful places where thousands of us can get together in order to enjoy community connection and have the same intention in creating a beautiful, harmonious world that works for everybody, not just the select few, is something that I've always been passionate about. So this expo is just like the next level of that. So excited for it. newlivingexpo.com. Please, please, please join us, guys. It's gonna be so incredibly fun. So I hope to see you there. And Scott, do you want to say something? And we play the trailer.
Just, I'm delighted that it's continuing under your guidance. And let's take a look at the trailer.
The world is changing faster than ever before. And within this evolution, a new consciousness is rising. At the New Living Expo, thousands gather to expand consciousness, explore new conscious technologies, ancient wisdom, and the future of human potential. Immerse yourself in 3 days of heart-expanding wisdom and mind-binding awareness, with over 90 speakers sharing tools to awaken your highest potential. 125 exhibitors, 3,000 attendees, awakened souls unite in one powerful weekend of learning, healing, and connection. Experience transformation, connection, and the next chapter of human evolution. It is time for humanity to awaken. Join us at newlivingexpo.com.
Okay, everybody, put it in your calendars, April 17th to the 19th.
Yeah.
And that's the time to be in Marin County. You're doing it, of course, in the same place as always, yeah?
Yep, same place for now, yeah.
In San Rafael. And, let's all plan on being there. And of course, we will do, we'll be talking about it every month. Neil's going to be with us, and Portal Ascension is going to be our partner every first Saturday of the month, at least until April, and hopefully beyond. And Neil, has been a really fun first show. Thank you, Nina.
Yes.
Is still with us. Oh my God. And we're going to close out the show. We will do our after show afterglow. We're going to close out the show right now with our beloved Omashar singing to our 54 Zoom roomers and all those people watching us still on YouTube and Facebook.
Love inside a soul. I am the heart, I am the soul. It's in every one of us, the heart of us all. I am. It's the driving force of us, the way of the universe. I am. Radiant sunrise is why we're here. Heart streaming light into our atmosphere, where life is dear and love will free us all. I am the trees, I am the soil. Every one of us, the heart of us all. I am. It's the driving force of us, the way of the universe. I am. Radiant sunrise is why we're here. Heart streaming light into our atmosphere, where life is dear and love will free us all. It's in every one of us, the heart of us all. I am. It's the driving force of us, the way of the universe. I am. Radiant sunrise is why we're here. Heart streaming light into our atmosphere, where life is dear and love will free us
What a beautiful, beautiful, soft, gentle way to conclude, or almost, we still have prayer time, but let's all give some good twinkles to our beloved Omashar. It was just so beautiful. And I love watching everybody still moving and dancing gently. So even at 9:30 Pacific time, and a lot later for those of you in other parts of the country, thank you for being with us. I have a few important announcements to make. And the first is that we are going to have a very special event with Cornflower and Swami Beyondananda on Sunday, January 4th, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. I just put the registration link into the chat box, and I really hope you'll all be here for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Talk about moving and grooving and dancing. There's nothing like cornflower music to get us moving. And of course, Swami, also known as Steve, is a very clever and funny fellow. So definitely plan on joining us for that. Also want to let you know about next week's shows. On Wednesday night, we've got an amazing lineup. We have 4 authors that we love. Adam Apollo, Carissa Sims from Humanities Team, Karina Angela, one of our favorites, and Jorge Luis Delgado is back. So we've got 4 wonderful authors that we love, all sharing with us their new books and their new offerings. And they're all really, really cool people. Also want to remind you that we partner with the Connection Field and the Coherence Cafe, Julie Kroll, Teresa Collins, and friends. And there's a free event coming up on Friday, December 12th. Once a month at 12 noon. They did 9/9, 10/10, 11/11. Well, now it's time for 12/12. And the events are beautiful that Julie puts together. Omashar was featured in one of them. And so definitely join us, Julie, and I'll be there Friday the 12th. That's at 12 noon Pacific time. It goes for about 90 minutes. So those are the announcements on my end. Again, definitely everybody go to Portal to Ascension and start, really checking out all the wonderful programs that Neil has done. And Neil, thank you so much. This is a great first of our new partnership together. So I'm really grateful for it. I'm going to officially stop the recording.